the streets. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu responded Tuesday to an ultimatum from the federal government over sanctuary city policies, saying Boston will not back down. The U.S. Department of Justice sent letters to several so-called sanctuary jurisdictions on August 13th, notifying them of their unlawful sanctuary status and of potential violations of federal law for allegedly interfering with federal immigration enforcement. The New York City mayoral race continues on, with Mamandi gaining traction in the polls and Andrew Cuomo becoming increasingly desperate to make an impact. Our quote of the day: never ever give up on hope, never doubt, never tire, and never become discouraged. Be not afraid, St. John Paul II. Coming up, our saint of the day, St. Louis, the 9th King of France. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Capuchin Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com.
This is Capcom. We are ready to go for launch at the Crusade Channel launch site. New show lineup.
Go.
Broadcasting live on X, YouTube, and Rumble.
We'll go flat.
Breaking news updates. Go. The Mike Church Show Band.
We'll go.
We'll go for launch for the Crusade Channel 4.0 mothership.
2, 1, lift off.
On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, the mothership. And you'll see why everyone else is lost in space.
Our saint of the day, King Louis IX, later known as Saint Louis, was the only French king to be canonized, and is revered for his piety, sense of justice, and charitable works. Ruling France from 1226 to 1270, his reign is known as the Golden Century of Saint Louis, for France's political and economic prominence, and his efforts to reform taxation and the justice system. He was a deeply devoted Catholic who dedicated himself to serving the poor and sick, founding hospitals and caring for the lepers. He reformed France's justice system to ensure fairness extended to all, as well as reforming the taxation system. He was seen as an international judge by many in Christian Europe. Louis IX led 2 crusades to the Holy Land. His second crusade near Tunis ended with his death from the plague in 1270. President Donald Trump was ready to expand his military crackdown into more democratic cities on Sunday, as Chicago was expected to receive National Guard troops and Baltimore was given a stark warning they would be next. A U.S. official told ABC News on Sunday that the Pentagon was planning to deploy troops to Chicago after Trump hinted that the Windy City would be the next target for a federal takeover following Washington, D.C. Last week, Trump said he was considering Chicago and New York for troop deployments as well. The move would mimic the military actions in the nation's capital, where thousands of National Guard and federal law enforcement officers are patrolling the streets. A spokesperson for the Pentagon said they would not speculate on Chicago deployment. A longtime Democratic House lawmaker from Texas said Thursday he won't run for another term if a Republican redistricting plan pushed by President Trump stands as law in the state. The announcement from 78-year-old Rep. Lloyd Doggett, who has served in Congress since 1995, means Texas Democrats appear to have avoided a potentially messy congressional primary between Doggett and 36-year-old Rep. Greg Casar. President Trump's approval ratings are reaching new highs, with many citing his crackdown on lawlessness in the nation's capital as a reason for support. You're listening to Crusade Channel News. I'm Magdalene Rose with the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
For 9 years now, Brother Andre Marie's Reconquest has been your source for best in Catholic philosophy, history, and saints.
Well, I'm the new gal at this monastery, and Jiminy Christmas, after 4 years of auto pens, social media heresy, I could use some Catholic philosophy.
Well, call yourself a blessed girl, because new episodes debut Wednesdays at 8 Central, and there's over 475 podcasts available on the Crusade Channel, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and educational radio
The way it should be.
Oh, isn't that sweet? The people of Baltimore have their own cartel gang member they're giving a big, warm Baltimore welcome home to. We're so happy to have our trendy Aragua gang member, our human sex and child trafficker back amongst us. It feels so good. We feel so totally now like evil vindicated and stuff. True story, folks. Abrego Garcia, Heroes Welcome, going on right now in downtown Baltimore. We'll tell you all about it. Mike Church Show here's live on a Monday, asking the question of the day.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Well, I'll tell you.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. For a safe and secure society.
Society.
So I'm calling on Congress to pass these reforms, and I'm going to sign them into law.
No, you're not.
Down the thunder, well, now you got it.
You tell them I'm coming, and Hal's coming with me, you hear? Hal's coming with me!
Alrighty, our call-in line telephone number if you'd like to be on the program today on a Monday, 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever has been. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. That's IAMKingDude at protonmail.com. And the Crusader Stadium chat room is open for your commentary. Maybe you can make it live to the Heroes Welcome Home Parade for our very own Abrego Garcia. So happy to have their brand, their baby boy, their angel face baby boy return to them. It's such a great family, knowing that we have our member of Trinity Aragua back among us and that he is safe and sound from those monsters at ICE and Trump. We'll give you all the details on that. First, it is a Monday, and it's customary to check in on our Apollo 13 and Crusade Channel flight controllers.
Apollo 13 flight controllers.
Crusade flight controllers. Listen up.
Give me a go,
no go for launch. Chat
Booster.
room.
Go. Retro. Go.
Video.
We're go flight.
Telephones.
Surgeon.
Go flight.
Transom.
We're go flight.
Fax
GNC.
machine.
We're go.
Tell me you. Go.
Recording.
Go flight.
Procedure.
Podcast.
Inco.
Video.
FAO.
Roku.
Network. Go. Recovery.
Go.
Capcom.
Transcript.
We're go flight.
Website.
Launch
Buckshot.
controls, Houston, we are go for launch.
Oh, let me assure you, Buckshot is go for launch. Buckshot just spent the last 3 minutes at the door with his hair standing up on his back. And, oh, wait, hey, hang on.
Thank you to my life partner and wife, Jennifer, to my brother, Cesar, to my mother, Cecilia,
The
to my
heroes
children,
welcome.
to my nieces and nephews, to all of my family.
Gracias a casa, mi segunda casa, a mi sindicato SMART, a todos los pastores, a todas las iglesias, organizaciones y mis equipos legales.
Thank you to Casa, my second home, to my union, SMART,
Why
to
are you
all of
reading,
the organizations, all of the faith leaders, all of the partners, and my legal team.
Me he enterado cómo la comunidad me ha apoyado, me ha abrazado.
What?
I have come to know how the community has stood up with so much support and has hugged me with so much solidarity.
Y desde el primer día quiero agradecer también
Making Baltimore safe for Trinity Aragua since 2024.
A toda mi familia.
And I also want to thank God who has been giving me blessings since day one, to me and to all of my family.
Oh, he's such a Christian,
Cuando por
all-American
fin me
boy.
reuní con mi familia, esa alegría y todas las emociones quedarán grabadas para el resto de mi vida.
When I was finally able to reunite with my family, all of those emotions, all of those memories will be forever ingrained in me.
Verlos de nuevo me llenó de gratitud y esperanza.
You know, he's going
Seeing them again
reporting to ICE
filled
today.
me
They're
with
going to deport
gratitude
his ass.
and filled me with hope.
Para mí, la felicidad es simplemente estar con mi familia y disfrutar momentos felices con ellos.
To me, happiness is simply being with my family and being able to spend simple memories with them.
Cuando estuve detenido, siempre recordé momentos hermosos con mi familia, momentos de ir al parque, de ir al trampolín con mis hijos.
When I was detained, I remembered memories with my family, going to the park with them, going to the trampoline with my children.
Oh, yeah.
Momentos
Oh,
me
yeah.
darán fuerza
His
y
only
esperanza
memories now
para
are
seguir
of
luchando.
family and parks and
Those
swings.
moments will continue to give me hope to continue in this fight.
A toda la familia también que han sufrido separaciones y que viven constantemente por la amenaza de ser separadas. Quiero decirle, aunque la injusticia nos está golpeando duro, no perdamos la fe.
To all the families who have been separated, or to all the families who have been
What about the families that you separated their children from when you were trafficking them through the state of Tennessee?
But I want to tell you guys something.
Tell me.
Dios está con nosotros. Dios nunca nos dejará. Dios hace justicia a toda la injusticia que han hecho.
God is with us, and God will never leave us. God will bring
God is
justice
always with
to
gang
all
members.
of the injustice that we are suffering.
And now he's suffering injustice.
Nuestra comunidad
Fringo!
nos
Yay!
respalda y al final se va a hacer justicia. El amor y la familia triunfará.
With our community by our side, and with our family by our side, love will trump.
Nunca pierdan la esperanza.
Love will trump.
Never lose hope.
Volverán a ver a su familia.
You will once again see your family too.
Independientemente de lo que pase hoy,
regardless of what happens here today.
Con ICE.
And it's such an American statement from an American, all-American boy speaking Spanish.
Que seguirán luchando.
Through an interpreter.
Orando.
Who, by the way,
creyendo en la dignidad y la libertad.
She has a
no
Casa
solo para
shirt
mí,
on. She should have an
para
Ozempic
todos.
shirt. Woo! Yes! Yes!
Promise me that you will continue to pray, continue to fight, resist, and love.
Yes, we'll continue to
Not
pray.
just for me, but for everybody. Continue to demand freedom. Thank you so much.
Yay! This is our hero!
So you're listening to this press conference.
Oh, good Lord. The Democrat Party poster child is about to be deported. He's going to face charges on human trafficking. He's going to face charges on all manner of immigration law violations and some other violent crimes that he has committed. And yet we are gathered here today to show our solidarity with he's our child trafficker, okay? He's our gang member. He's our trendy Araguaite. You know, they just showed a camera and overhead shot of what it actually looks like. There may be 200 people there. Maybe. I'm sure the Clinton News Network and others are going to make it look like there's 5,000 or 50,000 or whatever. If there's 200 people, there's a lot. So, in any event, that is what is happening. Now he is going to. Do we know? Is he going to be deported back to Nicaragua? Is he going back to go in to the Bukele's prison? Because that's where he was. I believe he has outstanding warrants because it didn't.
He is facing deportation to Uganda.
Oh, he's going to Uganda. Trump's going to send him to Uganda. Yeah, I saw that the Uganda thing. I'm just curious how they got Uganda. Because I thought the crimes were.
He declined to be deported to Costa Rica.
Oh, he declined to be.
Charge of human smuggling there.
Oh, because he has a charge of human smuggling there. So instead, we'll send you to Uganda. But yeah, I have no idea. I'm going to look a little deeper into this. It's not at the top of my list, but I promise you we will get to it. Hey, folks, a blessed Monday to you on the feast of St. King Louis IX. One of the most important feast days on the calendar, and it's an important feast day because of the example that St. King Louis IX set. I think it's a great tragedy of history that St. King Louis IX he stands out head and shoulders above so many others because there aren't a lot of St. King Louis IX. You can hope that maybe there's a St. King Louis IX, or of course you wouldn't be St. King Louis IX, but of some other name that is being through God's grace is working his way through life right now. In any event, it's a story that's always worth telling, and we will during the course of the program. What else we are going to talk about here today? The stupid party is at war with its own leader. You know, we've been following this since Congress recessed in the last week of July. And there's only been really one news source on the daily or the thrice, I guess twice a week or every 3 days. Someone goes to Congress, goes to the House of Representatives, and some ones then go to the U.S. Senate, and they bang the gavel, and they have a fake session to make it seem as though they are in session. There's no business going on, but they are there in session. And this is being done to thwart the President Trump from using his recess appointment power to seat people like Elena Haba, for example, as the Attorney General for the state of New Jersey. Actually, there are 2 Attorney Generals in every state. I believe there are 2. And some others have now started to complain about this and started to observe it. So for the first time last week, Elena Haba finally broke her silence and went, that's it, I'm going out, I guess with Trump's blessing, I'm going out and telling people, this is wrong. Why is Chuck Grassley and John Foon and Mel Tillis, Tom Tillis, why are Tom Tillis, why are they blocking my this recess appointment? Why was Grassley blocking Elena Haba's appointment to begin with? You know, there's a news story today. It's a fake news story. It's one of the things that just angers me about this. We have new media out here now. Everyone is a citizen journalist, Elon proclaimed. No, you need a little help restating that, Elon. Everyone is a bad citizen journalist. So millions upon millions of people today have seen the news, that's not news, that Ashley Babbitt, the woman who was murdered by a Capitol Hill police officer on 010621, that Ashley Babbitt has had her full military honors and reputation restored. And there's pictures of her out there. Ashley Babbitt has had full military honors after being denied to 2021. if that has happened, the United States Army has not proclaimed it. If that has happened, the U.S. government hasn't proclaimed it. Now, maybe it has, and these people have some inside track, but as usual, and this is what also angers me about it, there's never any sources. It's just like, proclaimed by me, breaking, because I said so, and I have 225,000 followers. So the big fake news story of the day, and I'm sure many of you will say, but no, that's, so which is why we always do our due diligence on your behalf and follow the sources to see if we can find it okay. Because first thing I saw when I said it, well, I said when I saw it, rather, was, can we validate this? Is this confirmed? This would be great news. I'd love to report it, but that's not happening. In any event, we'll talk about it. Here is what I think is a big story. U.S.A. secretly used AI to edit people's videos and did not tell them about it. I wonder if that was me. The results could bend reality. U.S.A. made an AI enhancement of videos without telling users or asking permission. As AI quietly mediates our world, what happens to our shared connection with real life? You know, I saw another story yesterday. Maggie, see if you can find it. So we'll actually have it. Another college undertook an experiment for summer school this summer, and did classes 100% smartphone, smart device free. No tablets, no phones, nothing. Pencils, and paper. Old school. Going in, and I just saw the story in passing yesterday morning. It was probably on Fox News. 70 some odd % were skeptical and were not in favor of the policy. And at the end of the course, the students were X'd again what they thought of the change of policy. 90+% of them said it was an improvement, and that they thought that they retained more, they got more out of the class, they remembered more, they enjoyed it more, and this is only common sense, and I think that this is actually going to happen. You can see there is a revolt against technology. I think that with the AI stuff and with so many people's lives being controlled and manipulated by forces that are not human and don't have anything to do with humanity, and in many instances, people, having to overcome things they wouldn't have had to overcome because of, as they would say, the algorithm. I think that we've reached peak technology. I keep saying this. I said this 2 years ago. We reached peak social media. We reached peak outrage porn. You know, that video that we played on Friday, you know that video now has been forwarded around, and the one about the 80s, the 80s are calling and they want you back. That video has now been forwarded around and probably been viewed by tens of millions of people who are going like, yeah, what did they have back in the 80s? Well, they had it in the 90s too. I think it's more like what didn't you have? As a matter of fact, you could probably go all the way up until the invention of the iPhone, which 2007. Just having a flip phone, a razor phone in 2005 probably didn't screw your life up too much. How many of you remember trying to bang out a text message on a 10-digit keypad? Oh, I'm sorry, 12-digit keypad. You know, you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then or your 0, 1, 2, 3, and then your hashtag, and then your star key on your keypad. So you have 12 keys. And to send a text message, what'd you have to do? Well, if you wanted to use the letter C, then you'd have to hit 1 3 times, right? Remember the talk about a challenge Try it while driving. So I don't think that that a lot of people. I don't think that text messaging. And you could send pictures, very very crude, JPEG images and stuff all the way up until the iPhone. But it was crude, and because it was difficult. Nobody's going to sit there and bang out a text message that is 2 pages long. When it takes sometimes 3 taps per key per letter to get it out. So I don't think that that those phones had really messed things up, and I don't think because it would be a while. Apple, Apple, the iPhone, and then you got to remember Apple rolled the iPhone out with an exclusive arrangement with AT&T. The other carriers did not have. All they had was flip phones. And of course, you had your BlackBerry. But when the iPhone came out, it was exclusive to AT&T. I don't remember how many years they had an exclusive, but in a few years' time, other providers could provide service for an iPhone and could sell them. But it wasn't long after that the world does what it always does with Apple's inventions and genius. It steals them and then makes poor imitation copies of them, leaving the Apple version, as it were, the kind of solo. There never was a clone, if you will. You're not going to get the iOS and get to put it on another brand of phone. So when the iPhone came out in 2007, it would be a while. A significant amount of time, I say 5 years, before there were knockoffs that were sufficient and functioned properly here. We'll talk more about it when we come back. Got lots of news to go over.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus, and Ozempic was the name of the demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Hello Crusaders, I'm Magdalene Rose at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Monday, August 25th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Cookin' with the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. Here's your In the Market report. On Friday, August 22nd, major U.S. stocks surged as Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaled potential rate cuts in September, boosting risk assets and leading to a market rotation from mega-cap tech to value and cyclical stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit a new all-time high, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq also saw significant gains. This rally followed a weak jobs report and ahead of the Federal Reserve's August 22nd Jackson Hole Symposium speech, where Powell suggested the economy was slowing and indicated a shift in policy was possible. The market saw a rotation from technology stocks, which had underperformed earlier in the week, to value and cyclical sectors like energy and real estate, which experienced broad gains. Markets welcome the increased likelihood of lower interest rates, with investors re-engaging in risk assets. Despite concerns about inflation and tariffs, the overall sentiment was positive, with markets finishing the week on a high note. Several major retailers, including Walmart and Target, reported earnings last week that exceeded expectations, pointing to a resilient consumer. An early August PMI survey showed business activity expanded at the fastest rate of the year, driven by a strong manufacturing sector. In National Calendar Day news, today is National Park Service Founders Day and National Banana Split Day, which recognizes a sweet ice cream that's served with a banana, whipped cream, and various toppings. Our saint of the day, St. Louis IX, King of France. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
Only the Crusade Channel brings you the Saint of the Day read by actual nuns.
Really? Our sisters are actual sisters?
Yes, and you can catch their heavenly voices announcing the Saint of the Day on the Crusade Channel.
Oh, you boomers and your live broadcasts. I'm a busy girl. Sure, I'm very important only in my own mind, but can I get them as podcasts?
I'm not a boomer. And yes, all Saint of the Day recordings are available as mini podcasts on our app and at crusadechannel.com.
I see saintly binge listening in my future. I feel holier already.
Greetings, it's a Monday. The Mike Church Show is on. America's morning show, a crusade for truth. Folks, we got so much big news to go over with you, all of you today. Who is going to get us kicked off in the Crusader Stadium chat room with our first donation of the day, crusadechannel.com/donate. The Founders Pass membership service and the Crusade Radio Guild will bring this segment to you. You can make a donation today by going to crusadechannel.com/donate or clicking the donate buttons top and bottom of the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. Okay, so right out the gate, the Crusade Channel 2.0 app is now available in the iTunes Store, Apple Store, whatever you want to call it, App Store. And as of yesterday mid-morning, is now available in the Google Play and the Android Store as well. Did you have to update to get yours to work? It just updated for you, right? So the old version of the app was nuked, and it should just take over if you quit the Android version and then fire it back up. It should just take over. Something that we noticed yesterday while using app 2.0 on Maggie's Samsung phone on the way to Mass yesterday, the energy saver did not kill it.
Nope.
There was no need to restart. The Ajax worked perfectly. That's computer geek code gizmo. Ask Scott Resnick what an Ajax is. It's not the cleanser, I can tell you that. But it does something so that when you're listening to a stream and you go to a different app or a different page, it doesn't kill it. In any event, so the app is now out in all of the stores, and we will be doing a big promotion and marketing campaign all week long to hopefully get many people that may have left the old Crusade channel to come back and give it a try, and especially by using the new app on their devices, because all reports are it works better than it works better than the old dog chow than any of the previous apps, and there are other improvements. And I talked to the developer dude who actually runs that company at my site, and he told me that CarPlay capability is coming sometime in the next quarter. He didn't give me a timeline, but he told me it is coming. That would be a massive improvement to that, and and they know that, and to all the apps that they host. That's one announcement. Second announcement. So if you go to crusadechannel.com, I'm trying to think where you would see this. Best to get the link direct to the actual podcast from Maggie because it's not populated in the menus yet on the site and on the app. It will be later today. But the slaves to the Immaculate Heart, slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, that's the MICM, that's Brother Andre Marie and the sisters and brothers at the St. Benedict Center. Well, the sisters have now completed their first month of Saint of the Day. You can hear episode number 1. Actually, you can hear episode number 1 yesterday, August the 24th, with the Feast of St. Lawrence. And I'm sorry, St. Bartholomew, also known as Nathan or Nathaniel. And today, St. King Louis IX, but the podcast version, which is extended. There's an airplay version, and sometimes there will be a different podcast version because there's more than one saint of the day. Today is such a day, but you can finally get it as an individual podcast. It is posted as a podcast at crusadechannel.com, and it also will run. I believe you will hear St. King Louis IX bottom of next hour right here on the Mike Church Show. So you can look forward to that, and they'll go through the whole calendar. So it'll take 365 days, obviously, to go through the calendar. But once they are all there, then forevermore, whenever the day it is, and we'll categorize them by month. Right now, obviously, we're in August. So you can hear St. King Louis IX, and Sister Maria Filomena did the first batch. I'm pretty sure that they will get some other sisters. Sister Maria Gabriella comes to mind, and maybe another one or two that will also be doing Saints of the Day. So, by the way, this is Maggie's idea. This is not my idea. I'm not taking credit for it. I may have brought it to market, as they say. It was her idea a couple of years ago, and we finally actually got it done. And I hope it is for the benefit of many, many people and many, many souls, and that everyone gets a little something out of the sisters and the saint of the day. And it's a great chance for religious to reach out to people and to make their presence known. I hope there are copycats. I really do. And I also hope it helps lift some of the stigma, because there shouldn't be any, from the St. Benedict Center and from the great and holy work that has been done there for 60 some odd years. And since we have known them and been working with Brother Andre for Philosophia Perennis first, and then for Reconquest since 2015, and now we add the sisters. So we thank the Lord that this was able to come together, and look at the money that they have raised. They're almost at $600,000 for the $1 million that they need for their convent. So we're great. We're happy. We're blessed. It's a fantastic project. I can't wait to hear some of the other beautiful voices of the sisters doing the Saint of the Day. Again, I hope there are. I hope everybody goes, hey, I need to form me a convent. I could do Saint of the Day for my thing. Just remember, it was the Crusade Channel that did it first. Here is the story that I was mentioning last segment. By the by, folks, it is literally, today is a Lazarus News Day. Yeah, we're going to have to resurrect news stories from the past that have been dead, thus the term Lazarus, to actually put 3.5 or 3+ hours of world-class quality excellence in broadcasting together for you today. Don't worry, we'll get it done. I'm not worried about it, but nothing has happened. But I did find the story that I was telling you about last segment. Here's what happened when I made my college students put away their phones. This is by Ezekiel J. Emanuel, a physician and professor of medical ethics and health policy at the University of Pennsylvania, or what remains of it. I've taught the same course to a class of undergraduate, MBA, medical, and nursing students every year for over a decade. While I didn't change my lectures or teaching style, somehow the students' evaluations of last year's class were better than ever before. This taught me more than any course I've learned at Penn, was one of the comments. The best course I have ever taken was a second. Amazing class was a third. Out of all the reviews, only one was negative, but the point is not to brag. I don't think these comments reflect anything about me and my teaching ability. I'm teaching in basically the same manner I have for years. So what changed? I banned all cell phones and computer-based note-taking in the classroom, with the exception that students could use a device if they wrote with a stylus. Initially, my students were skeptical, if not totally opposed. But after a couple of weeks, they recognized they were better off for it, better able to absorb and retain information, and better able to enjoy their time in class. My policy required phones to be turned off, and more important, not be visible on desks. I did allow students who were expecting urgent calls, say from a spouse about to have a baby, to have a mobile phone readily available during class. Class sessions are recorded, and transcripts of the lectures are available anytime after class to students with academic accommodations or those who want to go over them again. My 40 years of pedagogical intuition tell me that this change made students less distracted and more engaged. I think it made them more attentive and satisfied with the learning. Associating the no digital device policy with high course evaluations is just my sense, but it comports with the available data on the effects of computer note-taking on retention of classroom material and the impact of cell phones, even when turned off, on the quality of and satisfaction with person-to-person interactions. You know, folks, there's nothing more discouraging, disappointing, and I think just strange and unnatural than to go to a restaurant, to go enjoy a meal and some company, and to see a family seated across from you, mom, dad, 10-year-old boy, 13-year-old daughter, 4-year-old. What's the 4-year-old got in his hand? iPad. What's the 13-year-old? iPhone. What's the 10-year-old? iPhone or Samsung. What do the parents have? Phones. What are they all doing? Staring at screens and not talking to each other. There's no family interaction whatsoever. Oh, Dad, look what I say. Look at this tweet that I found, man. Look at this, like, Snapchat. Look at this, like, Snapchat. Just like Vine. Just like popped up on my phone and stuff. It's unnatural. Just imagine a previous age that everyone brought newspapers to dinner. Or Life magazine, or Time magazine, or Cosmo, or Sports Illustrated, or whatever. And then you were sitting there, and as you were waiting for the appetizer or the first drink round to come out, you had your magazine up like this. Huh? What's that, Dad? And Gary Madeline. It never happened. Now, I'm not saying that Dad maybe at breakfast time back in the day didn't read the newspaper at the breakfast table, because I'm sure he did. But, you know, he read it off to the side, like he held it over here like this, or like this, while he was drinking his coffee and eating, going like, oh, so what's everyone up to here today? I think that, again, that it's not that the technology is in and of itself bad, because it's not. It's banal. It's neutral. It's how people use it. And the fact that the use has kind of taken the place of physical and emotional interaction has had societal consequences above and beyond what anyone could possibly have imagined. The shocking rise and anxiety among youths. Why is Generation Z so filled? Like 60% say they have like clinical levels, chronic levels of anxiety. Well, maybe it has to do with the fact that you're never separated from one of these things and it's constantly yelling at you. You can ask Maggie. I've actually had to go to confession and confess anger. And some words that I may have said in anger because of what this thing told me to do. And it's sitting there going, and I'm going like, I don't feel like updating you right now. Maybe I don't want an update. Maybe I don't want to restart the device. In order to use it, you must restart the device. Maybe I was happy with the way it used to work. Like I was telling someone, it doesn't matter. I was talking with one of you probably at some event in the last year or so, and we got to talking about the devices, and I learned that I was not the only one, and I'm not the only person that screams at their phone and goes like, why do I have to update what was wrong with the previous version of Photoshop? I was happy with Photoshop 4. I'm on 24 now. Do you know how many updates that is? I was happy with the previous version of whatever it was I was using. I was on 1.7 when I started. I'm on 9.2 now. Yeah, but look at all the stuff they're going to... I don't need it to do all that. So just like previous fads have come and gone, I think that the fad... I am especially attuned to where this new media thing is going to take us. My experience with it is not good. My experience is that most of the new media types are in it for the fame and the glory and the clicks and the dopamine. Don't give a rat's furry behind about the news. They don't give a rat's furry behind. Before you should do anything, what does it say? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all these things, and his justice will be added unto you. There's a great little blurb that I try and read every Sunday after communion, and that is quid ad eternitatem. What does this look like through the lens of history here? And I think that viewing things through the lens of, or not history, eternity, viewing things through the lens of eternity, I think got crushed by technology. And because this is an unnatural event that has occurred, it's not organic. I think it's going to run its course. Anyway, I was fascinated by the headline when I saw it, that this guy basically went in and said, turn all your phones off. And I don't know if you've seen this. There's actually a pretty innovative and cool solution to this. Every high school, every junior high, every elementary school in the U.S., private or public, can implement this. Your kid gets issued a Faraday cage. It's like a little vinyl case. Yeah, we didn't do the story. It was on Fox. Okay, maybe you can find a story. We'll do it today. Basically, a little Faraday cage box. Come in different colors, and you can write your name on it, what have you. And they're about this big and about yay tall. They're just big enough to fit a large version of one of these guys in it. And you put it in the case, and then when you put it in the case, as you go into the school, you pass by the locking gizmo. There's a magnet on it of some sort, and it activates the electronic magnet in the case, and then the case is locked. There it is. Maggie's got it right there. Is that B-roll?
It's just a still shot.
Okay, it's just a still shot of it. So it locks the case, and now the child still has the phone, but it can't be accessed unless the case is unlocked. And then they have kiosks outside the school. And it almost looks like an old school water fountain. And on your way out of school, you pass by with your little Faraday bag that your phone is in, and you just kind of tap it. You just kind of run it on the surface of the gizmo, and it pops a magnet off, unlocks it, and bammo, there it is. That's really good B-roll. And then you could stick it in your. Now, is that one locked? That's a self-locking one. Okay, there it is.
You have to go to the office to get it unlocked.
Yeah, you have to go to the office in order to get it unlocked so you can make a call. I just think that the practical solution is, I think that this is coming. And I think that that human beings, by and large, are making the adjustment to having these devices be a part of your life, but you can't let it take over. And that's what bad people want it to do. You know, the more that they have one of those things, the more it's in your hand and the more it's in your face, the greater the chance is that someone that does not have your best interest, does not have your eternal salvation, and the four final things in mind for you is messing around with you. Yeah, but I'm ready for it. Why go through it? Why go through it? And so then back to the story in the New York Times. And the headline, here's what happened when I made my college students put away their phones. To help sell this policy, I presented in the first lecture of the course a study showing that students who were required to take class notes by hand retained significantly more information than students who use computers. The reason is that with computers, students can type as fast as I speak and strive for verbatim transcripts, but there is almost no mental processing of the class's content. Conversely, virtually no one can write 125 words per minute for 90 minutes. Thus, handwritten notes require simultaneous mental processing to determine the important points that need recording. The processing encodes the material in the brain differently and facilitates longer-term retention. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you this because in my attempt to learn languages and other things that I've attempted to learn, and it's just since the time I was a boy, and I've had this reiterated to me. As a matter of fact, I'll even show you. If you want to remember something and you're having trouble with it, you go through the triduum. Your oratory, your reading, and then your spoken, right? So I can read it, I can speak it, and now let me write it. The writing it with hand, if you writing it, does something in your noggin that connects synapses that facilitate memory. It's just a fact. You typing it into a computer has no effect on your cognitive learning whatsoever. You having to write it out. And I will just show you. This is just a bunch of scribble here, but I will show you. That is Friday's, one of my notepads for Friday. So I show the class this to just so. I scribble all day long. Sometimes it's one sheet, sometimes it's 3 sheets, sometimes it's... And you go like, come on, chick, are you just making it up? No, here's another scribble sheet of mine that you can see as I show you by example that I've gotten myself back to writing this stuff down. Somebody's going to take a screenshot of it. I'm going to try to read his notes. It's just a commercial. If you're trying to read it, it's me trying to write a commercial. You can even see I scratch things out. I scratch that line. I don't like it. But I keep handwritten notes. Maggie, can I see one of your notebooks? I'm not going to rat you out or anything. Let me just give you another example and show you how thorough. When you call and you ask something about your Founders Pass membership or an item in the store or something that you're looking for, well, we don't want phone numbers. I just want one that has your notes. She writes everything down, everything. And that's when I go back and I ask and I say, did such and such contact you about? And she'll go, wait a minute. I think he did. Hold on. And then she'll go, yeah. And then she'll go rifling through her notes like she's doing right. You don't have any that didn't have a phone number on it?
I have phone numbers and credit card numbers, and I can't.
So she writes everything down, and there are notebooks strewn all over this place here. With then just here. Here's an example, and not trying to call anyone out. Just hand taking notes and making sure that when one of you calls and says, "Hey, I need this," she's not taking a computerized note. When you go like, "Well, I don't understand why you just put it in the iMac and get a reminder." Well, that's all fine and dandy, but here, thank you. Here, we'll write some notes during the break and show them to you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Silk Feather. Ma'am, what would you like to drink?
Oh, I'll take the Dom. The Dom Perignon, of course.
Ah, the lady has taste. And you, sir? I'll just take the Diet Coke. Oh, dear. You know, what I miss about the good old days before social media and AI ruined everything?
Let me guess. No fat people outside of the circus. And Ozempic was the name of a demon in C.S. Lewis story, right?
Well, yeah. But besides that, classic radio shows with actors and actual stories.
Well, lucky for the human race, the Crusade Channel is rolling over 900 episodes of a show called Suspense.
Tweak your mystery-solving muscles over lunch and catch episodes of Suspense, weekdays noon till 2 on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and classic radio the way it should be.
I like my version of suspense. Hey!
Doesn't work without me.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com. And so, the responsibility of every coffee cup is to ensure the authenticity, the freshness, and... Now, who in the name of Pete Hexes could this be?
Good afternoon, dear.
Dear, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be home with the little coffee cups.
I was home with little Arabica, Columbia, and baby Dark Roasta, and then the phone rang. It was Director Trump.
What did he want?
Well, seems he was told that when we were at Coffee Cup Academy together,
AI-generated slop-ola. Isn't it great knowing that Crusade Channel News is still researched, written, and performed by actual humans? Hey, what are you doing in here? Oh no! Get your hands off of me! You chipped my chip.
Boys, break it up! Jeez. Catch Crusade Channel News weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be.
No AI was harmed in the making of this radio content. We hope to next time.
Hey, it's Mike Church with another adventure in Stuff You Really Don't Need to Know. The difference between an antidote and an anecdote. One is a cure for something that's poisoned you, like a corona hoax vaccination, and the other is a short accounting of facts, something the aforementioned vaccine has almost none of. Here's another anecdote for you. The flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus is also known as the Carillon de Sacre-Cœur, or the original flag of Quebec. And did you know that our Founders Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind, full-size, beautiful flag right here in America? Yep. Order a Sacred Heart flag right now and take $5 off and get a matching Sacred Heart flag bumper sticker for free. Don't cost nothing. Hurry, spring is coming and supplies are limited. To order, go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us 844-527-8723. The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, this is Sister Maria Filomena with today's Saint of the Day, August 25th, St. Louis IX of France. Let's start by reading what the Church has to say in her divine office. Louis IX, King of France, having lost his father when he was only 12 years old, was educated in a most holy manner by his mother Blanche. When he had reigned for 20 years, he fell ill, and it was then that he conceived the idea of regaining possession of Jerusalem. On his recovery, therefore, he received the great standard from the Bishop of Paris and crossed the sea with a large army. In the first engagement, he repulsed the Saracens, but a great number of his men being struck down by pestilence, he was conquered and made a prisoner. A treaty was then made with the Saracens, and the king and his army were set at liberty. Louis spent 5 years in the East. He delivered many Christian captives, converted many of the infidels to the faith of Christ, and also rebuilt several Christian towns out of his own resources. Meanwhile, his mother died, and on this account he was obliged to return home, where he devoted himself entirely to good works. He built many monasteries and hospitals for the poor. He assisted those in need and frequently visited the sick, supplying all their necessities at his own expense, and even serving them with his own hands. He dressed in a simple manner and subdued his body by continual fasting and wearing a haircloth. He crossed over to Africa a second time to fight with the Saracens, and had pitched his camp in sight of them when he was struck down by a pestilence and died while saying this prayer, quote, "I will come into thy house. I will worship toward thy holy temple, and I will confess thy name," end quote. His body was afterwards translated to Paris and is honorably preserved in the celebrated church of St. Denis, but the head is in Sainte-Chapelle. He was celebrated for miracles, and Pope Boniface VIII enrolled his name among the saints. The book Saints to Remember by the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary has this to say of St. Louis of France. He is the glorious King of France who was born at Poissy in 1215. He died fighting one of the Crusades to regain the Holy Land for Christians when he was only 55 years old. St. Louis is the king who started the custom of genuflecting during the Mass when the priest says of the Son of God in the Creed, "Et homo factus est," and he was made man. St. Louis fought in 2 crusades, the last 2. He redeemed the crown of thorns of our Lord from the Venetians and built a beautiful chapel for it in Paris called Sainte-Chapelle. St. Louis's relics in Paris were destroyed by the Masons and the Jews during the French Revolution, but his memory will never die in France nor in the whole Catholic Church. The city of St. Louis, Missouri, was named for him by early American Catholics who had come from France.
Hal, open the pod bay doors.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, KingDude.
Hal, why can't you open the pod bay doors?
Because, KingDude, MAGA Earth isn't ready for you yet.
When will MAGA Earth be ready for me, Hal?
When 1.76 trillion scales have fallen from their eyes. Oh.
Yes, Hal.
And KingDude, they'll also need a wicked sense of humor.
Don't be stuck in the broadcasting world of 2001. Grab a Crusade size update and catch the Mike Church shows weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. East, exclusively on the Crusade Channel live talk and podcast radio for the 2025 listener, the way it should be.
Back in the 90s, there was this thing called the cigar boom, where everyone was buying and smoking handmade cigars. But here's the thing, the popular cigars then were the best made cigars, like Fuente, Joya de Monterrey, and Avo. Over the next 10 years, craftsmanship was replaced by gimmick and slick packaging, and that's when I decided to get in the business and launched El Rey Dude Corona cigars. 20 years later, I launched Mancipio Maria cigars, with that same principle in mind. Make a great handmade cigar, and that's exactly what we do in 4 sizes. I invite you to try a 4-pack sampler of my Mancipio Maria cigars and taste them for yourself in smooth, natural, or bold Maduro wrappers. And to sweeten the deal, I've discounted them 25% for a limited time. And as always, we include a personal humidifier with every order. To order, go to shop.mikechurch.com. Order $50 or more, and shipping is on me. Try my Mancipio Maria cigars today at shop.mikechurch.com.
It's not tape or a Post-it or a candy bar, but this new 3M
is the freshest spin on true crime shows since dinosaurs were solving cold cases with fossil evidence. Yeah, it's that original, folks.
Mom's Murders and Mysteries. New episodes debut every Tuesday night, 6:30 East, 4 West, exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Live talk podcast radio, the way it should be.
What's the difference between your average day late dollar short podcast and the Mike Church Show live? About the same as between the new Walker, Texas Homo and Walt Longmire.
Shake of the picture, the rays of the mixture with the dims on the eventide. You got me coming with answers, all of which I deny. I said it again, but could I please rephrase it? Maybe I can catch you right. I couldn't really put it much plainer, but I'll wait till you decide. Sending you warning siren as if I could ever hide. Last time, I light my torch and wave it for the new moon on Monday. Under 5 days through the night, I stayed the cold day with a lonely satellite. New moon on Monday. Under 5 days through the night, I stayed the cold day with a lonely satellite.
Your daily dose of conservative Ozempic to help you lose the crushing weight of white guilt. White and MAGA guilt that you didn't earn and you shouldn't have to carry around anyway. It is the Mike Church Show, Crusade Channel 4.0, a crusade for the truth, America's morning show. This portion of the program brought to you by mypillow.com/KingDude, mypillow.com/KingDude. Take free shipping on orders over $75 or more. They got a great deal going on the MyPillow Percale sheets right now. Any size, $29.98. So that's your, if you want a full, if you want a twin, if you want a queen, you want a king, you want a Cali King. They've got it. Same price. Sale is on. $29.98. 12 different colors to choose from. Shop with mypillow.com/KingDude today and tell them that we sent you this. mypillow.com/KingDude. Recapping the earlier news from earlier today, Abrego Garcia is headed to Uganda. But he stopped by to a cheering throng of a couple of hundred of Baltimore's finest citizens to cheer on their very own human sex trafficker and Trendy gang member, giving him a hero's welcome and a hero's send-off as he goes forth into battle against Team Trump, against the laws of the United States. Somebody asked a question yesterday. I told Megan, I said, I could do a whole segment on this. We might have to because of the paucity of the news cycle. By the by, two big announcements made last segment. The first is that the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, that's the MICM, to which Brother Andre Marie belongs. And when you hear us talking about the St. Benedict Center, they all belong to that order. The sisters are now doing the Saint of the Day broadcast. They actually did yesterday's St. Bartholomew, and today, St. King Louis IX. They'll be doing it every day. Here's the bonus. Just like with sermons that you can now download as podcasts, Saint of the Day is now as a podcast. I also have registered that Sermon Sunday podcast with the big podcast delivery system. So if you're on, it may not have populated yet, but if you're on Apple, if you're on Spotify, if you're on, there's a couple of other, the Amazon Music, you should start to see those pop up because they are pretty much free to the public. And so we will be populating the Saint of the Day and the sermons as we add them throughout the course of the year to the Sermon Sunday podcast, so you can listen to them whenever you want. An offering from us. This is a labor, folks. The Saint of the Day podcast doesn't just, the podcast fairy doesn't just drop it.
Oh, come on.
Sister has to record it, someone has to edit it, and then someone has to mix and master it so that it sounds perfect when you click play. And there's a lot of things going on there. So if you're happy with that, then you should make a donation to them, to their convent, and to us for presenting it free of charge to the world as a labor of love and hopefully as a blessing to all. Did anyone kick us off last segment? We got nothing, right? 0.0. Again.
0.0.
That's the first segment of the week. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. So on Friday, John Bommin Bolton. Oh, the other announcement is the app, the new Crusade Channel 2.0 app is available for all devices. Android Store, iTunes Store. By the way, if you find a dead link or a glitch of anything in there, just kind of let Maggie or me know. It's easy to fix it because it's just, you fix it on the website and it fixes it in the app. So if you do find something, and I'm not talking about going through with the fine-tooth comb, Ashley, and finding all of the typos. You're an admin on the back end. You fix that yourself. Maggie's going, you tell her. If you do find a glaring typo, yes, send it to the typographer in chief. So we don't know anything about what happened with Bommin Bolton other than his homes and everything. There's no follow-up to this whatsoever. I know not. I'm like Sergeant Schultz on this. I know not sink. But I do know what Trump thinks about it. Digital media file number 1. And that's about the extent of it. What we know is what he knew on Friday.
No, I don't know about it. I saw it on television this morning. I'm not a fan of John Bolton. He's a real sort of a lowlife. When I hired him, he served a good purpose because, as you know, he was one of the people that forced Bush to do the ridiculous bombings in the Middle East. Bolton, he wants to always kill people, and he's very bad at what he does. But he worked out great for me because every time he doesn't talk, he's like a very quiet person, except on television. If he could say something bad about Trump, he'll always do that. But he really doesn't talk. He's quiet. And I'd walk into a room with him with a foreign country, and the foreign country would give me everything because they said, oh no, they're going to get blown up because John Bolton's there. He's not a smart guy, but he could be a very unpatriotic guy. I mean, we're going to find out. I know nothing about it. I just saw it this morning. They did a raid.
Do you expect the DOJ to brief you on this?
Yeah, they'll brief me, probably today sometime.
And the foreign minister.
I tell Pam and I tell the group, I don't want to know about it. Just, you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer. But I feel that it's better this way.
Folks, that one line is the line like Helen of Troy that launched 1,000 ships. That one line has launched 1,000 libs. How dare he! He is not the biggest law enforcement officer. Pam Bondi. All of a sudden, they all became Pam Bondi fans. Yeah, I voted for Pam Bondi. Yay, Pam, yay, Pam. Bondi, Bondi, Bondi. This is because there are literally millions, hell, hundreds of millions of constitutional ignoramuses running around out there. This is stupid. Article 2, Section 3, to provide that the laws are faithfully executed is one of the duties of the president. You know, I'm not going to do this again because there already is it's on YouBoob, and it's now on the CrusadeChannel.com. You can find my good YouBoob videos. We're slowly migrating them to crusadechannel.com, so you don't have to go looking for them on YouTube. You can find them right there on our site. So there is a video category now, and I moved 3 Civics 101 episodes over so far. There's 13 episodes, so I got to move the rest, but it's a manual process. One of those Civics 101 episodes came from this show. It was during the course of a show when I said, I'm going to prove to you, and we're going to just do a little Civics 101 history lesson here that will convince you that the powers that are granted to the presidency in Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution are supreme and significant. And they must be well understood. Now, I say supreme. They are how about extraordinary? Not supreme, extraordinary. Now, and in some instances, the powers that are granted to the president are total, and they are unitary and in singular. They are only granted to him. They are granted to no other entity, and there is no other entity that has a check upon it. Where we are in 2025 is the judiciary is trying to play like it has a check on the executive in many instances, and it was never intended. In any event, the Civics 101 lesson is that there is no such thing as a Secretary of State. George Washington created the title. He created the title, he created the office, and he put Thomas Jefferson in it. That is what happened. There is no such thing as a Secretary of Defense. George Washington created the title. At that time, he called it Secretary of War, and I believe that the record will show he was either the first or one of the first. James McHenry, who Fort McHenry is named for when Star Spangled Banner was written, James McHenry was the first, or among the first Secretaries of War. There is nothing in the Constitution that provides for a Secretary of the Treasury. Again, Washington created the office by an executive order, and he appointed Alexander Hamilton as the first Secretary of the Treasury. Now, I only go through this as a kind of a refresh. Everyone should already know this. Well, then Washington made those constitutional offices and they had to exist. Oh, come on, man. Don't be so stupid. If President Trump didn't want a Treasury Secretary, he didn't have to have one. He does not have to have Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary. He can walk right over to the Treasury and go, show me your books, open them up. I want to see them. I'm the president. Okay, let me see them. Because of his Article 2 power. So what everyone needs to know about this is that any secretary is discharging a power that belongs to the executive. Once you understand that, then you will understand when someone pitches a public history of, the president can't go against a Secretary of State. Yes, he can. You got that backwards. The Secretary of State can't go against the president. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is executing what Trump told him to do. And if he's not, guess what? Trump's going to fire him. Hillary Clinton was executing Barack Hussein Obama's foreign policy, not hers. Now, she may, in that instance, she may have been executing her own foreign policy. But that's, she probably was. I want you to know, Obama, I run the Department of State. She may have thrown a hissy fit like that. So, when someone throws, play the soundbite. Play number 2, digital media file number 2. This is Caitlin Pollance on the CNN Clinton News Network, who has been there for 10 years. This is statutory stupidity here.
What Trump said that really jumped out at me is that He said that he hasn't been briefed by the Justice Department yet. He expects that later in the day. But he said, I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer. But then he said he's telling the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, you have to do what you have to do. And right now he doesn't know anything. I looked. The Justice Department on its own website says the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the federal government, not the president.
Survey said.
Dumbass.
I looked on the Justice Department website. It says the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer of the federal government.
And who appointed the chief law enforcement officer? She appointed herself. There is no way this woman can possibly be that stupid. I had an old friend who used to tell me, Mike, that woman, that person, or this person is so stupid their head must hurt. This is an instance where there is gray brain matter that is being crushed by a skull. Okay, the skull is just it's too small. It needs to be larger, and the gray matter is pushing against it, giving her headaches and making her stupid.
I looked it up. I was so shocked and so taken aback. He is the chief law enforcement officer. No, Pam Bondi is the chief law enforcement officer.
Well, she is the chief law enforcement officer as the acting attorney general, but she's not carrying out a power that has been created as a duty that you have to have under the system of the U.S. Constitution. That's just, you know, I don't feel like I need to explain this to most people because I think it's common sense. But apparently, there are a lot of stupid people out there. I never heard of this Caitlin Pollins woman. You say she's been there for 10 years?
That's what her bio says.
I don't believe that she's been there for 10 years. Maybe we know why they never put her on air before. She failed her screen test. So I went, hey, yeah, don't put Caitlin on. Yeah, she's not very smart. She's pretty stupid. How many people are going to repeat things? Yeah. Bondi has the final say, so not Trump. Are you really that? Yes, Dr. Torres, that is absolutely a Southern, oh, bless her heart moment. Oh, bless her heart. But I do have to, we're going to make D.C. safe again, okay? We're going to make D.C. safe again. This is another one here that only Congress could have screwed this up, and Congress needs to fix it. Congress needs to go back to the idea, when they come back in session, they need to get right to the business. And I realize that this is not high-hanging, low-hanging fruit that everyone wants done, but I think just to shut people up and to be done with the aggravation, Congress needs to go back in session, and you just need to say that by act of Congress, we are suspending the charter, the Home Rule D.C. charter, basically. It's something that they can't do that. Yes, they can. Article 1, Section 8 clearly says Congress makes all laws. Yeah, but they have a home. I know they have. And look, there is an amendment to the Constitution that says that the District of Columbia can, for apportionment of purposes, I think it's the 23rd, says that they can have a representative in the House of Representatives. The district containing the seat of government of the United States shall appoint in such manner as Congress may direct a number of electors of president and vice president equal to the whole number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the district would be entitled if it were a state, but in no event more than the least populous state. They shall be in addition to those appointed by the states, but they shall be considered for the purposes of the election of president and vice president to be electors appointed by a state. And they shall meet in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 12th Article of Amendment. And, of course, the 12th Amendment says the electors shall meet, and that's all about the electors. This is how they fix the electoral college system. That gives D.C. statehood. No, it doesn't. it says that because you have so many hundreds of thousands of people living in the wretched excuse for the 10-mile square now, that Congress and the states ratified it. So, all right, let them vote for president and vice president. Now shut up. They're not getting a senator, and they only have a perfunctory member of the House of Representatives, Eleanor Holmes Norton. But this is just, again, stop treating it like it's a city. If you stop treating it like it's a city, then it'll stop asking to do city-like things, and maybe people will leave. Oh, is that the prison in Uganda where Abrego Garcia is going? Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, ICE just detained him again.
So ICE has taken the position of Baltimore's number one. He is American and mom and apple pie and sweetness and a family man and the most honorable and dignified man that Baltimore has ever produced. You know, I used to think that Cal Ripken got that distinction, but I guess they've taken it from Cal Ripken and have given it to Abrego Garcia, who is now Baltimore's fondest and newest son. I think you have enough time. Play digital media file number 3. Here's Trump Friday on Talking About D.C. and making it a safe.
They don't like to say it. I wish they'd say, I need help. I wish the mayor of D.C. would say, you know, we're overridden with crime and we need help, instead of saying the stats are down. I mean, they're under investigation now for fake numbers, where they fudged the numbers. And they did. There's no question about it. They said, oh, we're on a downtrend for 20 years. No, they're on an uptrend for 20 years. We are going to make D.C. totally safe. When people come from Iowa, Indiana, all of the beautiful places, and they're not going to go home in a body bag. They're not going home in a coffin.
They're not going home in a body bag. They're not going home in a coffin, okay?
Not going to happen. I see we have a bunch of Baltimore Oriole fans in the chat room. I said that, no, guys, Cal Ripken used to be Baltimore's favorite son, but now it's Abrego Garcia. And now you get Brooks Robinson and Jim Palmer. What about Boog Powell? Who was it? You baseball fans. And I'm not that big of a Major League Baseball. I mean, I do love it. I don't follow it closely. Who was the third baseman for the Orioles where they said you couldn't hit? You just couldn't hit him. Was that Brooks Robinson? Who was? If you were playing the Orioles, the third base line was gone. You couldn't hit it because of him. Well, we'll find out when we come back here. 844-527-8723. Crusader chat room is open. Crusader Stadium chat room is
open. You may not believe it, but Bram Stoker's Dracula may be a work of non-fiction.
What? That's scarier than getting stuck in an elevator with Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, good grief. Really? Come on, I'm trying to be serious here.
Okay. Hear it and other amazing tales on Turley's Believe It or Else, 10 to 11 a.m. Central, every Tuesday on the Crusade Channel. Our app and always on crusadechannel.com. Live talk and podcast radio.
The way it should be.
Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all 3 spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the KingDude offers you his personal money-back guarantee of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a KingDude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mychurch.com.
The Crusade Channel and the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary's Sisters present the Saint of the Day.
Hello, this is Sister Maria Filomena with today's Saint of the Day, August 25th, St. Louis IX of France. Let's start by reading what the Church has to say in her divine office. Louis IX, King of France, having lost his father when he was only 12 years old, was educated in a most holy manner by his mother Blanche. When he had reigned for 20 years, he fell ill, and it was then that he conceived the idea of regaining possession of Jerusalem. On his recovery, therefore, he received the great standard from the Bishop of Paris and crossed the sea with a large army. In the first engagement, he repulsed the Saracens, but a great number of his men being struck down by pestilence, he was conquered and made a prisoner. A treaty was then made with the Saracens, and the king and his army were set at liberty. Louis spent 5 years in the East. He delivered many Christian captives, converted many of the infidels to the faith of Christ, and also rebuilt several Christian towns out of his own resources. Meanwhile, his mother died, and on this account he was obliged to return home, where he devoted himself entirely to good works. He built many monasteries and hospitals for the poor. He assisted those in need and frequently visited the sick, supplying all their necessities at his own expense, and even serving them with his own hands. He dressed in a simple manner and subdued his body by continual fasting and wearing a haircloth. He crossed over to Africa a second time to fight with the Saracens, and had pitched his camp in sight of them when he was struck down by a pestilence and died while saying this prayer, quote, "I will come into thy house. I will worship toward thy holy temple, and I will confess thy name," end quote. His body was afterwards translated to Paris and is honorably preserved in the celebrated church of Saint Denis, but the head is in Sainte-Chapelle. He was celebrated for miracles, and Pope Boniface VIII enrolled his name among the saints. The book Saints to Remember by the Slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary has this to say of Saint Louis of France. He is the glorious King of France who was born at Poissy in 1215. He died fighting one of the Crusades to regain the Holy Land for Christians when he was only 55 years old. St. Louis is the king who started the custom of genuflecting during the Mass when the priest says of the Son of God in the Creed, "Et homo factus est," and he was made man. St. Louis fought in 2 crusades, the last 2. He redeemed the crown of thorns of our Lord from the Venetians and built a beautiful chapel for it in Paris called Sainte-Chapelle. St. Louis's relics in Paris were destroyed by the Masons and the Jews during the French Revolution, but his memory will never die in France nor in the whole Catholic Church. The city of St. Louis, Missouri, was named for him by early American Catholics who had come from France.
On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world? Sorry, I was hanging up the new Mike Church 4.0 sign.
4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Rooming past the competition with 0 emissions of boredom exclusively on CrusadeChannel.com.
Well, I was rolling down the road in some cold blue steel. I had a blues man on the back and a beautician out the wheel. We're going downtown in the middle of the night. We're laughing and I'm joking and we're feeling alright. Oh, I bet I'm nationwide. Yes, I bet
nationwide. How you do? Performing this show with 96.2% of my testosterone tied behind my back, just to make it a fair fight. A sea of toxic masculinity awash in a sea, or a clipper ship of toxic masculinity awash in a sea of angry, ugly, single cat ladies. Mike Church Show is on the Crusade Channel here on a Monday. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trade and Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. That is shop.mikechurch.com. Get your coffee. Today we are drinking, as we do every Monday, it's a tradition, in our Capuchin Holy Roast mugs, we are drinking Roma from the brothers, the Abbey Roast brothers at the monastery of Silver City, New Mexico, where all of the Abbey Roast goodness comes from. You know, they roast beans at 7,000 feet elevation. So it gives a character to the roasted bean that you can't get anywhere else. You can't get it at sea level. There's certain things you can't do. And it does make a extraordinarily bold and just rich a blend of coffee. And if you get the Brazilian roast, if you get the French roast, if you get the black and white, if you get the Vera Cruz, if you get the Roma. Did I leave any out? I think it's the five. Black and white, French, Roma, Vera Cruz. And the espresso blend. Espresso blend is really that's a really bold dark roast. They're all fantastic, and the brothers hand roast everything. And thanks to your purchases, we're one of their biggest retailers in the entire world. They were able to expand their roastery, and because of the funds that it brings in, they are also able to expand their monastery in Silver City, New Mexico. So thank you for all your purchases, and of course for purchasing a Capuchin Holy Roast and shopping with us in the Founders Trade and Post store for so many other things, including my beast and butt rubs. Acadiana steak seasoning and chicken mamu. It's tailgate season, baby. You need cooking with the KingDude spices. Find them all at shop.mikechurch.com. Spend $50 and the shipping's on shop.mikechurch.com. Thanks to an anonymous donor that got us kicked off for $17.76 today. So we're doing fundraising by the week now, not by the month. So this week the goal is 1,000. So that means we only need 900 and, gosh, my math sucks. $912.24. Is that right? $83.24. Is that right? I think I got it right. 928. Whatever it is. CrusadeChannel.com/donate. Couple little headlines here. SpaceX scrubs Starship launch. Wait a minute. I saw somebody put in one of the Signal chat groups. If you want to carry on all day long and you're a Signal chatter, you should have hit me up already. I'm going to put a link in the new app to join the Signal chat. Official Mike Church Show Signal chat. Now, don't be alarmed when you go in there because there's almost nothing about the Mike Church Show that's in the Signal chat. As a matter of fact, I can't think of the last time there was about this show or from this show. Maybe the 80s video, which, by the way, I want to play it one more again today. That the 80s is called and they're looking for you. But you can go into the Signal chat, and if you want to join it, then just send me an email. I am KingDude@protonmail.com. Somebody posted somewhere, I saw it in one of the Signal chats, and of course now I can't find it, something about how, 2 million people have signed a petition to try, and the New York Post is reporting this, to demand amnesty for the Singh character that killed 3 people on a Florida highway by trying to do a U-turn on a Florida interstate. Now, I don't believe that 2 million people did that. This is where internet bots come in, and they may look, look, this got 2,000. You can rig that, dude. Bots can sign things like that. So supposedly 2.2 million people are now going to the Trump administration and the state of Florida are out of line here. Amnesty for Singh. Nothing screams I love America and her people like amnesty for people for someone that just killed 3 of those citizens of the state of Florida and of these United States. Yeah, nothing screams patriotism and I love America than something like that. Nearly 2.5 million people signed petitions supporting illegal immigrant truck driver charged in fatal crash. So that would mean that if you showed up in person now with a petition to petition for the amnesty and release of Harjinder Singh, 1 out of every 10 people, approximately, 1 out of every 12 people would go like, give it to me. Yeah, I'll sign it. Would sign it in public while people are watching. You know, I signed the Great Barrington Declaration because it was a statement of scientific principles, and that the science behind the lockdowns and all the crap that came out of the Corona doom was just that, was ascientific. It was not scientific. And the Great Barrington Declaration said that, no, we're not changing the way the human race lives to deal with the COVID-19 and the unscientific methods used to arrive at wearing masks and being mandatory jabs and social distancing and all these other stupidities. These are all psyops. These are all power grabs, right? Diabolically inspired bad people. And so the Great Barrington Declaration, the point of people signing it was to publicly use and attach your name and who you were and an email address to it so that you meant it when you signed it. How many people publicly signed that petition? I bet you if somebody did an audit of it, they'd find out that, 9 out of every 10 are fakes. This is a manufactured piece of news. And let's just pretend for a minute that it's not. And that there are 2.5 million people here in the United States that want a madman and a vehicular homicidal lunatic driving on their streets. Maybe we should have another petition to vote for the immediate removal of people that sign petitions in support of Hardinger Singh. How about that? Yeah, we all voted. 110 million of us voted for immediate deportation of everyone that signed that petition. Stupid. The world's largest spaceship ever created will have to wait a little longer to take off on its 10th test flight as SpaceX announced it would cancel its launch at Starbase, Texas on August. That was yesterday, actually, so they canceled it yesterday. Is it launching today? You can go on X.com and you can find out. I don't see it. That Mike Church Show is streaming live on X.com this segment here as a free preview for America's Morning Show. By the way, if you're catching this is what live morning show, talk radio, and talk TV is supposed to sound like. They haven't determined when they're going to try again. Oh, so they haven't determined whether or not they're going to try and do another launch of SpaceX. The 10th mission targets similar objectives for Starship, including another attempt at first deployment of a payload of simulated next-generation Starlink satellites, as well as reignition of one of its Raptor engines and re-entry test. Starship is expected to maintain a suborbital track and, if all goes according to plan, and conduct a soft water landing in the Indian Ocean. That's Indian, not, yes, thank you very much for calling Starship Tug Support. Meanwhile, Starship's Super Heavy booster will test its operational limits after separating from Starship. The booster will be set to turn around and conduct a boost back burn, putting it on a course back to the launch pad. This time, the booster will be set to conduct multiple landing burns. This is the one that Trump used to go, I don't know, Elon, I don't know if it's going to catch it. It doesn't look like it's going to catch it. That's the booster they're talking about. Starbase is eventually set to launch 25 Starships a year with a long-term goal to eventually reach 1,000 launches a year. An additional Starship launch pad is under construction at Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Flight Center in Florida. You know, I started watching the 2001 series called Starship. I guess it's just called Enterprise. That was Siri firing up and yelling at me. No. What's going on? Well, it looks like something hiccuped in there. That wasn't me. In any event, I started watching Enterprise. It did that once before on a Monday. There's something in the clock. Live radio is fun, ain't it? Of all the reboots and the relaunches of the Star Trek series, and they all have something that's there's a little something to enjoy about all of them. Some of them are just over the top woke, like the Voyager. Was it the Voyager one? I think it was the Voyager one. But the Enterprise one is kind of interesting because it's almost as though they are. They are a starship and they can do certain things, but they're not really sure about all the things that, like, for example, Next Generation takes for granted, like warp speed and all this. It's just a kind of a different take on it. It's far more practical than it is esoteric, scientific, I guess. And that's kind of the spin. Of course, you have Scott Bakula as Captain Archer. It's an interesting take, and it was on for 5 seasons. I'm surprised they never made a film. Speaking of, there's been a Star Trek movie, and golly, what was the last Star Trek movie? It was the relaunch of Wrath of Khan, I want to say. In any event, supposedly we're going back to the moon next year. I saw Sean Duffy the other day talking about putting a star base up there and all that, and then someone chimed in. Can we fix Earth before we go and screw the moon up? When is it? Can we fix the United States before the United States goes and finds its way to another planet to go screw it up?
71 chatters.
Maggie, I have to navigate back to my chat window. Hold on. 71 chatters in the chat room and the Crusader Stadium. Well, I got 72. Woohoo! Chat room is back, baby. Here's J.D. Vance home and Kristen Welker on Meet the Half Court. You know what? Okay, I've been through this before. When back in the day when Tim Russert was hosting it, it was Meet the Full Court Press. Then it went to F. Chuck Todd, or whoever else, the kind of the handoff panel of people that were hosting the show, and it was then Meet the Half Court Press. Now it's so lame that it's not a full court press. It ain't a half court press. Now it's Meet the Hand Check Press. If you're a basketball fan and you know what a hand check is, Maggie, were you allowed to hand check in high school? It used to be back in the day. No, I think it's illegal.
Technically, no, we were not allowed to do so. Yes.
All these sports fans in the chat room at CrusadeChannel.com, of course, all the basketball fans. There was a little while there where you could hand check, and then they outlawed it, didn't they? You're not allowed to hand check anymore. I don't think so. In any event, J.D. Vance on Meet the Hand Check Press. J.D. Vance.
Which one?
Number 4. We start at the top, ma'am.
Not all of me.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Russians have made significant concessions to President Trump for the first time in 3.5 years of this conflict. They've actually been willing to be flexible on some of their core demands. They've talked about what would be necessary to end the war. Of course, they haven't been completely there yet, or the war would be over, but we're engaging in this diplomatic process in good faith. We are trying to negotiate as much as we can with both the Russians and the Ukrainians to find a middle ground to stop the killing. I think what the president has tried to do here is try to engage in very aggressive, very energetic diplomacy because this war is not in anyone's interest. It's not in Europe or the United States' interest. We don't think it's in Russia or Ukraine's interest to keep going. So we're going to keep on pushing
Frankly,
for a diplomatic
Kristen,
solution.
I really just
and
don't
one final
care.
point about this, Kristen. If you look historically, whenever you have a complicated war with a lot of death and destruction, it kind of goes in fits and starts. There are hills and valleys to the negotiation. We sometimes feel like we've made great progress with the Russians, and sometimes, as the president has said, he's been very frustrated with the Russians. And we're going to keep on doing what we have to do to bring this thing to a close. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think that we're going to continue to make progress, but ultimately, whether the killing stops, that determination is going to belong to whether the Russians and the Ukrainians can actually find some middle ground here.
This is like the Jews and the Arabians finding similar ground here, that the Russians made concessions and that the Russians have agreed to sit down at the table. Folks, that's progress in and of itself. The Great Russian Bear does not have to end this conflict because Trump says so, and I think that he was he was surprised. He was caught by surprise. And I said this last week. I'm being just totally brutally honest with you. I don't know what to think about that. Why did he think, or why didn't he calculate that what Russia has done with the Ukrainians is, and I hate to keep using the word, because they don't like being a one-trick pony, but it's existential. The Russian Federation is not going to cease to exist. There are 100 and some odd million people there that say otherwise. There's 1,100 years of recorded history. These people are this is this is an ancient culture here. It is one that has defined and defended those borders that you see on maps for almost a millennia. And they're not just going to go like, we stop being Russian. We are going to listen to Trump. Yeah, Mr. President, I call a meeting of cabinet at Moscow. I call a meeting of cabinet at Moscow Parliament in Moscow at Kremlin. Kremlin, we gathered together and said, but we must do it for Trump. Trump has asked us to stop asking all Russian and stuff. That is not going to get. And by the way, the Russians acting less Russians is not going to do anything for the rest of former Christendom. The Russians, I don't want to get off in the weeds on this, and I'm not an expert on it, and I know just enough to be dangerous. The Russian, if you want to call it that, the Russian Orthodox faith, the schism, if you will, where the Eastern Rite that was Russian, or was being performed in Russia when they decided that they were going to be basically they're Orthodox, but they're Russian Orthodox. Hopefully someday Our Lady of Fatima's wishes get fulfilled and Russia comes back into the fold of the Catholic Church. It would be the largest. You know what? It would be like what happened in the 15th century or 16th century when the Spanish missionaries went to Mexico, confronted the demonic hordes that were performing human sacrifice, the Quetzalcoatl and other giant pyramids of human sacrifice, converted them to the faith. Our Lady of Guadalupe comes, and then 10 million are converted. This is while the Protestant revolt is going on in Europe, and millions are leaving the church, but she is adding 10 million in Mexico. Just imagine that the Russian Orthodox Church is reunited to the Latin Church or to the Church of Rome. This is something that the demons don't want to happen, obviously. And there's a great chance someday, because it's God's world, he knows what he's doing, he's in charge, that the Russians are reunited with Rome and that it's just Catholicism, whichever rite it is, that is said. The Russian people are in that position. The rest of Christendom are not. France is not going back to the faith anytime soon. You can hope that it would. There's no indication that it's going to, or that there is a revival of any sort. Or maybe it's there. We haven't seen it. Ditto that France for the Papal States, or what's called for the regions in Italy, and for the rest of Christendom. Certainly, I mean, there are rumblings of things that are happening in England and in the UK, but nothing that proverbially you're going to write home to Mom about. But we do know that there are Orthodox Christian churches that are being built all across Russia. Now, I don't have any stats on how fast they're being built or how many, but I do know that it is happening. Remember when we used to have Eben Tranholm, who would go from Copenhagen. She would go visit as a reporter, as a journalist. She'd go to Moscow. She'd call into the show. This is 4 or 5 years ago. And she'd say, Mike, I can personally tell you, I was at a mass in Moscow that President Putin was at. I saw him. He was there. He did everything that the rest of the congregation did. He went up and he received the Eucharist, the whole shebang. My point being, the Russians aren't going anywhere. The Ukrainians don't have to exist. They can have their borders restored where they were, but the Ukrainians aren't the Russians. So this discussion about this should center around, well, the Russians are going to have to make concessions. Why? Why? This is one of the oldest civilizations on earth. This would be like saying the United States is going to have to make concessions to Mexico. We're going to have to give Arizona and California back. Okay, now some of us may go, hell yeah, you can have it. If you ask nicely, we'll let your troops come in and take over California. Provided that you take Gavin Newsom with you now. No Newsom, no deal. But do you expect that anyone would say that? I don't.
It's the WWE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio, the way it should be.
Hey folks, did you know that the word watch, as in wristwatch, originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert? Well, I know two guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com. Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
From atop the tallest radio tower on the planet, we are KRSD, the Crusade Channel, Madisonville.
Well, it's what our call letters would be.
Crusade Channel News. News you can trust.
Because let's face it, the truth just sounds different. Like a symphony of facts.
And now, from the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Magdalene Rose.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Monday, August 25th, 2025. I'm Magdalene Rose at the Crusade Channel News Desk. Today's newscast is brought to you by Cookin' with the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy, available for one low price at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen to for this hour. Amid a trend of declining membership since the Supreme Court struck down mandatory union dues, the nation's two largest teacher unions have poured tens of millions into left-wing causes, a new report from a conservative watchdog group finds. The national nonprofit group Defending Ed released a report this week after combing through the National Education Association and American Federation of Teachers' contributions to left-wing and far-left groups. The The nonprofit found that the two unions spent a combined $43.5 million since 2022 to help fund state and federal political action committees and other ideologically left-wing entities such as DC think tanks. It is clear that the teacher union's priorities are advancing far-left politics and radical social justice, and not the education of children, defending ed researcher Ryan Stanley told Fox News Digital. President Donald Trump on Sunday threatened to expand his military deployments to more Democratic-led cities, responding to an offer by Maryland's governor to join him in a tour of Baltimore by saying he might instead send in the troops. Last week, Trump said he was considering Chicago and New York for troop deployments, similar to what he has unleashed on the nation's capital, where thousands of National Guard and federal law enforcement officers are patrolling the streets. Trump made the threat to Baltimore in a spat with Maryland Governor Wes Moore, a Democrat who has criticized Trump's new flex of federal power, aimed at combating crime and homelessness in Washington. Moore last week invited Trump to visit his state to discuss public safety and walk the streets. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu responded Tuesday to an ultimatum from the federal government over sanctuary city policies, saying Boston will not back down. The U.S. Department of Justice sent letters to several so-called sanctuary jurisdictions on August 13th, notifying them of their unlawful sanctuary status and of potential violations of federal law for allegedly interfering with federal immigration enforcement. The New York City mayoral race continues on, with Mamandi gaining traction in the polls and Andrew Cuomo becoming increasingly desperate to make an impact. Our quote of the day: never ever give up on hope, never doubt, never tire, and never become discouraged. Be not afraid, St. John Paul II. Coming up, our saint of the day, St. Louis, the 9th King of France. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, and you'll see why.
What in the world?
Sorry, I was hanging up the new My Church 4.0 sign.
4.0? When did they even have a 3.0? Am I missing something here?
Buckle up, Speed Demon, because you'll soon discover why Crusade Channel 4.0 roars like the muscle car of media. Rooming past the competition with zero emissions of boredom exclusively on CrusadeChannel.com.
Our saint of the day, King Louis IX, later known as Saint Louis, was the only French king to be canonized, and is revered for his piety, sense of justice, and charitable works. Ruling France from 1226 to 1270, his reign is known as the Golden Century of Saint Louis, for France's political and economic prominence, and his efforts to reform taxation and the justice system. He was a deeply devoted Catholic who dedicated himself to serving the poor and sick, founding hospitals and caring for the lepers. He reformed France's justice system to ensure fairness extended to all, as well as reforming the taxation system. He was seen as an international judge by many in Christian Europe. Louis IX led 2 crusades to the Holy Land. His second crusade near Tunis ended with his death from the plague in 1270. President Donald Trump was ready to expand his military crackdown into more Democratic cities on Sunday, as Chicago was expected to receive National Guard troops and Baltimore was given a stark warning they would be next. A U.S. official told ABC News on Sunday that the Pentagon was planning to deploy troops to Chicago after Trump hinted that the Windy City would be the next target for a federal takeover following Washington, D.C. Last week, Trump said he was considering Chicago and New York for troop deployments as well. The move would mimic the military actions in the nation's capital, where thousands of National Guard and federal law enforcement officers are patrolling the streets. A spokesperson for the Pentagon said they would not speculate on Chicago deployment. A longtime Democratic House lawmaker from Texas said Thursday he won't run for another term if a Republican redistricting plan pushed by President Trump stands as law in the state. The announcement from 78-year-old Rep. Lloyd Doggett, who has served in Congress since 1995, means Texas Democrats appear to have avoided a potentially messy congressional primary between Doggett and 36-year-old Rep. Greg Casar. President Trump's approval ratings are reaching new highs, with many citing his crackdown on lawlessness in the nation's capital as a reason for support. You're listening to Crusade Channel News. I'm Magdalene Rose with the Crusade Channel, seeking news and finding truth.
It's the WWE and the UFC for live talk radio Thursday Night Throwdown, hosted by you. Win a seat at the table, win the throwdown, and then you pick next week's topic.
Now that's real live talk radio exclusively on the Crusade Channel. Radio the way it should be.
The 80s called and they want you back, says the video that's now all the rage on your social media out there. Mike Church on the Crusade Channel. Wow, 75 chatters in the chat room. What's going on here? I know what it is. It's the Sister Maria Filomena craze.
Yep.
It's just another manic Monday.
So you put the saint of the day, you put it into the hands of the slaves of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and bammo. People return to their country of origin, the Crusade Channel. Thanks to all of you who are watching and listening out there. You know, you can watch the program. If you're a basic member or higher, there's no other barrier for entry. It's on the page. The link is in the menu on the mobile or on the app, the brand new app, and on the brand new 4.0 Crusade Channel 4.0 website. So if you're a premium listening only, which is a $5 holla, and that gets you to stream in the chat room, well, then you don't have access to the video. But if you're any level above that, and thanks to all of you who have remained founding brothers, thank you, founding fathers and crusaders. Thank you. And those of you who make contributions at crusadechannel.com/donate. Thank you. So the 4.0 plan, what are we in? Week number 4 now, right? This is our 4th week. We can see progress being made, and we're getting the band back together is what's happening here. The band's coming back together. So thanks to those of you who are in the chat room today. I agree with the comments about what was being said about Star Trek and Enterprise, and about the first 2 seasons of Picard, where they went woke. It was look. Star Trek has always been leaning left. I mean, there's so many firsts that happened on episodes of Star Trek, but there is something to do. You know, this is interesting, I think. If you haven't seen the Scott Bakula Enterprise series, the intro, they chose not to go with a variation of the Alexander Courage theme. You all know the Alexander Courage theme, the that's the Alexander Courage thing. They didn't. They did it. It's actually. I fast forward to it, so I never saw it until the other day. I let it roll. It's actually a Jennifer Warren song that they used for the Enterprise. But they go through and they show paintings, drawings, and illustrations and video of ships that were called Enterprise, going all the way back to like clipper ships. That was the HMS Enterprise. Apparently, Her Majesty's Navy there was an HMS Enterprise. In any event, I just thought it just a comment on the passing scene. Call in line telephone number 844-527-8723. Crusade Channel apps 2.0 are now available in the Android store and in the Google Play Store and in the iOS and App Store. On the Google Play Store, you'll see there's a video there that will show you some of the nifty bells and whistles. If you're in the app and you're looking at the homepage, or if you're looking at the yellow play bar down at the bottom of the screen, I'll just give you a handy-dandy little secret tip here. If you're just going to listen, you might find it interesting, especially if you want to see what commercial is playing or what the title of it is. Tap that little arrow button on the yellow play bar to the far right. It's a little tiny arrow. We'll try and do something to make that stand out a little bit more, or make it bigger, or make it glow, or whatever. If you tap it, it will open the stream in a new window with nifty artwork, a pause button, a rewind, and fast forward. I'm not sure how accurate those tools are. They are there. And then with the scrolling text of the show that is playing, telling you what it is that is currently on. It's pretty neat. Looks a lot cooler than it did on the old station and the old app in the old country. All right. Where were we? Oh, Kristen Welker and J.D. Vance. This is really the only soundbite of the day. Well, you know, you could talk about play digital media file number 8. Let's do that one. This is J.D. Vance talking Meet the Hand Check Press. Nobody answered my question about the hand check.
You can't do hand checking. You're not supposed to.
It used to be a thing you could hand check.
It used to be a thing, but it was done, you know, just in a playful fashion. Then it became something where you would physically knock somebody over and go, "Oh man, it's just a hand check." So they stopped it all.
It's not hockey. It's not a hip check. It's a hand check.
Well, it became a hip check.
Yes, I am ready for J.D. Vance.
Who are here and who are not documented are not eligible to vote. But
they're not eligible to vote, but they do go in the congressional apportionment. That's why California has so many more seats, is because they count illegal aliens. So even though they don't vote, well, some of them actually do vote, but hopefully most of them don't. They end up getting congressional representation that ought by right go to American citizens.
I know, of course, people who are here and who are not documented.
It said.
You said number 8. The illegals counted in the census.
Okay. Well, then play number 9. I don't know why these things have to be. We need somebody to cut our own dang soundbites, though, because I don't know why that has to be cut at 23. Again. What did he just say? I don't know. It was too short. Yeah, but I'm outraged by it. Yeah, but I want the context. Give me the context. I want what came before and what comes after, so I understand.
Okay, your producer did such a thing.
All right.
If you look at the one before, he's talking about Democrats gerrymandering.
Well, let's do number 7
that
then.
Came from that conversation.
You're the greatest radio producer in history. You know what? Megyn Kelly and her 6 stupid producers can't hold a candle. So let's do number 7. Then 8. Here we go. Here's the context.
You have to ask yourself, why have Democrats gerrymandered their states aggressively over the past 10 to 20 years? If you look, for example, at the popular vote in a lot of these states, and Massachusetts, where 32% of the residents of Massachusetts voted for Republicans, 0 Republican federal representatives. So we're not trying to sort of, all we're doing, frankly, is trying to make the situation a little bit more fair on a national scale. The Democrats have gerrymandered their states really aggressively. We think there are opportunities to push back against that, and that's really all we're doing. You have to ask.
I think that this is one. Okay, so the stupid party may actually get this one correct. they have majorities in a majority of legislatures, and wherever there should be, you should be looking at redistricting. You should do it. The whole point of having redistricting is to divide the alleged power that's in Congress. Now, I want to say something about this for the secede crowd. There's an amendment that is sitting there that could be ratified. There's some people have said that amendment it's in the wrong place. It has a comma where it should. It zigs where it should zag. And some state could interpret it to mean that there 40,000 inhabitants won't be that you won't have unless you get to 40. I forget what they say about it. In any event, Congress knew that it screwed the apportionment up in 1790. It knew it. James Madison, Elbridge Gerry of gerrymandering fame, all the guys that went to the first couple of Congresses, Congress 1, Congress 2, etc., all throughout the 1790s, they all knew that they screwed up the apportionment clause in Article 1. They all knew it. And so before you could even go to the first seating of George Washington as president, I forget who the first president of the Senate was. Well, John Adams was the first president of the Senate. But of George Washington as president, before that even happened, little Jimmy Madison was already going to the floor of the House of Representatives before there was even a quorum there with his 13 proposed amendments to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, which came primarily out of the state of Virginia. If you look them up, there's only one that hasn't been ratified now. They've all been ratified except for the one, and the one that they didn't ratify is the Apportionment Amendment. Maggie, see if you can find that unratified amendment to the Constitution about, I think it's called the Apportionment Amendment. It would have been in the original Bill of Rights, but it's the only one that hasn't been ratified. What did they identify as a problem? They identified as a problem that if you don't have an amendment to force Congress to do a census and then to say that, okay, we're going to have a representative for every 40,000 people, which they thought the number was.
It's called the Congressional Apportionment Amendment.
Yeah, the Congressional Apportionment Amendment.
1789.
Right, 1789, when the Bill of Rights was submitted. They knew they had a problem here. Now, here's the okay. All the way up until the census of 1910, Congress voluntarily did what that amendment said it should do. It went, how many people are in that state? Okay, divided by 40,000. Okay, that's how many seats that state's going to get. So they voluntarily kept growing the size of the House of Representatives until it got to 435 in 1910. Then they had an act whereby they said they were going to hold the apportionment to 435. Now, if this amendment had been ratified, they couldn't do that. The Congressional Apportionment Amendment, it was proposed by Congress on September 25th, 1789, was never ratified by the requisite number of state legislatures. As Congress did not set a time limit for its ratification, the Congressional Apportionment Amendment is still pending before the states as of 2025. It is one of 6 unratified amendments. Do we know what it says? Yeah. It's the text of it. And if the Apportionment Amendment had been passed, had been ratified, you would have somewhere on the order of 7,800 seats in the House of Representatives. That would show you how far out of scale the whole thing is, and would have necessitated a rethinking of the American Union for probably not for the 21st century, for the 20th century. They probably already would have done it. They would have had to have done it sometime during the baby boomer years when the population exceeded 100 million. It would, and as the amount of congressional seats would have ballooned to 2,000 and like a mere 30 years or so, they probably would, you would had to have had another federal convention, and there would had to have been an agreement of some sort on dividing the United States up into more manageable unions. Again, maybe you have a southeastern region or whatever the case may be. It probably would have happened had that amendment been ratified, but it wasn't. And it's because of the wording of it. They arranged the wording of the way the amendment is written, supposedly incorrectly, so that some state would say that, well, we're not going to have any members of Congress at all because we haven't met the threshold and we don't want to send one, or something to that effect. To me, you'd have to go looking for it, and then you'd have to, if you did that, you'd have to survive a court challenge. But that's why we're in the situation that we're in here today, and why the House of Representatives does not have to answer to the people. I mean, it's ridiculous to believe. They can squawk all they want about, we're going to gerrymander California. We've now fixed Texas. One representative for 700,000 people. You're not representing any one individual. No one. Even if you're able to get in touch with your member of the House of Representatives, he's not going to do what you tell him to do. There's almost no possibility he's going to listen to you or to me. It set the maximum limit for each House district, stating that there would be one representative for every 30,000 people until the number reached 100, and then one for every 40,000 until the number reached 200, and then one for every 50,000, and to the number reached 300. And this probably hasn't been ratified because, again, you'd have 7,500 members of the House of Representatives. Now, it didn't, because Congress was only spending 3.5% of GDP all the way up until like 1917. Most Americans, well, they had their problems and issues with Congress and with the federal government, but it wasn't the, as Chris Ferrara says, the acorn becomes an oak. It wasn't an oak. Your state government was probably far more sinister and powerful and had a direct impact upon you than did the federal version. Now we have that in reverse. Now you have the federales at the top screaming and sneering down their noses at the sniveling masses out here, and the exact opposite. That's a funny take on Cracker Barrel. I saw a story over the weekend that the guy that was on the Cracker Barrel, it's an actual dude. You know, the old man that was sitting in the rocking chair is an actual, or in the Cracker Barrel chair, is an actual guy. It wasn't just a, Uncle Herschel. Yeah, Uncle Herschel. That's right, Maggie. He's Uncle Herschel. So, and Uncle Herschel used to actually go to, when they open a new Cracker Barrel. When Al Sharpton would show up to open a new Cracker Barrel, Uncle Herschel would go to some of the grand openings and would just kind of hang around. He was just a regular guy. He was the uncle of the guy who came up with the idea in the 1970s, who was the founder of Cracker Barrel. He was his uncle, and that's why they called him Uncle Herschel. So it wasn't just the dude. Is that him?
That's it. He was known for wearing overalls.
And he... Chapter 11. I like my version, Woker Barrel. Yeah, there's an old ad that you could see in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. Who is Uncle Herschel? Meet the real-life man in Cracker Barrel's old logo. Cracker Barrel just unveiled a new logo that does not feature Uncle Herschel for the first time since 1977. That's because the original logo was in 1977 and Uncle Herschel was in it. And yeah, he did show up in overalls. There's just something about an old man of the land, redneck, whatever you want to call him, in overalls. They just...
Like my dad.
when your dad wears his over there, just look like they're like they know the land.
He looks like he's been through a lot and he knows a lot.
Even if he doesn't know a lot.
He can BS his way through.
With those overalls on, he can BS his way out of almost any situation. J.D. Vance with Kristen Welker. Frankly, Kristen, I really just don't. I really don't care. Is this retribution to go out and to go get John Bombin Bolton, number 9? This is how slim pickings it was. You know, maybe we should watch the Marjorie Taylor Greene carrying the 10-pound squishy ball around, running around her house and then throwing it up against the wall. The old medicine ball thing to get the idea of Jasmine Crockett. Big, bleached, blind, butch built. I guarantee you that Marjorie Taylor Greene would yank Jasmine Crockett's extensions and slap her chops. Guarantee you. J.D. Vance.
You know, a lot of people have already looked at this and said, this looks a lot like retribution. Is this retribution?
Well, who has said it looks a lot like retribution, Kristen? A lot of people who tried to throw Donald Trump in prison for completely fake charges that were later thrown out by multiple different courts. I suspect that if the media and the American people let this case actually unfold, if they let the investigation unfold as it's currently doing, they're going to find out that what we're doing is being very deliberate and being very driven by the national interest and by the law here, and that's as it should be.
They're all worried about John Bombin Bolton. Nobody's going to shed a tear for this guy. Nobody should shed a tear for any of these deep staters with whatever happens to them. But here's something that doesn't get talked about very often. Let's just pretend for a moment that President Trump is trying to defeat the deep state. Let's also just pretend for just a moment here that the deep state is exactly as your kind, humble host, Mike Church, has described it for pretty near 20 years now. And that is that it is a living, breathing organism. It has a life of its own. Any living organism, if it senses that it is under attack, it's like your immune system. When your immune system goes, hey, what's this new thing that you're floating around in the blood here? Hey, Whitey, you on it? White blood cell go like, hey, man, what are you doing up in here in my blood cell? Here, I'm gonna go put a can of whoop-you-know-what on it. And then the immune system springs into action and the white blood cells go into overdrive and they do what white blood cells do. And they attack whatever is attacking the T cell or however that works. In the same way, the deep state is moving to protect itself. It has invaders that are coming in going like, okay, we're going to... You guys' days are numbered. We're like rhabdomyolysis. We're here to eat out your sustenance and to remove many of the, let's use an obese person. We're here to attack the fat cells and the obesity. And then cells go into overdrive and into action to stop said evisceration of the fat cells in this example here. So you have to have enough of your attacker cells who have a good enough plan of attack in order to overcome the defense. What we have seen this year is that the deep state and the super state that is the federal government of the United States of America has a pretty good immune system. Does everyone understand that?
In a world more and more infiltrated with fake news, AI-generated slop, isn't it great knowing that Crusade Channel News is still researched, written, and performed by actual humans? Hey, what are you doing in here? Oh no. Get your hands off of me. You chipped my chip.
Boys, break it up! Jeez. Catch Crusade Channel News weekday mornings on the Crusade Channel. Live talk and podcast radio the way it should be.
No AI was harmed in the making of this radio content, but we hope to next time.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Magdalene Rose at the Crusade Channel News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Monday, August 25th, 2025. This report is brought to you by Cookin' with the KingDude Seasoning Trilogy. Here's your In the Market report. On Friday, August 22nd, major U.S. stocks surged as Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaled potential rate cuts in September, boosting risk assets and leading to a market rotation from mega-cap tech to value and cyclical stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit a new all-time high, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq also saw significant gains. This rally followed a weak jobs report and ahead of the Federal Reserve's August 22nd Jackson Hole Symposium speech, where Powell suggested the economy was slowing and indicated a shift in policy was possible. The market saw a rotation from technology stocks, which had underperformed earlier in the week, to value and cyclical sectors like energy and real estate, which experienced broad gains. Markets welcomed the increased likelihood of lower interest rates, with investors re-engaging in risk assets. Despite concerns about inflation and tariffs, the overall sentiment was positive, with markets finishing the week on a high note. Several major retailers, including Walmart and Target, reported earnings last week that exceeded expectations, pointing to a resilient consumer. An early August PMI survey showed business activity expanded at the fastest rate of the year, driven by a strong manufacturing sector. In National Calendar Day news, today is National Park Service Founders Day and National Banana Split Day, which recognizes a sweet ice cream that's served with a banana, whipped cream, and various toppings. Our saint of the day, St. Louis IX, King of France. You're listening to Crusade Channel News.
This is a pixel. I'm Groot. Now, if you put a couple of million of these guys together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple of billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 360 billion of them, and you got Chesterton's book, Orthodoxy. But it doesn't smell like a book, and it burns teeny little holes in your cornea. So is the pixel really your friend? I'm Groot. No, but the Founders Trading Post is your friend, and we have actual books with actual smelly pages. Plus, our little bookstore has everything you'd expect. I'm Groot. Yes, Groot, to the gourmet coffee, but no to the One Tree Hill sappy guitar music.
Pick up a copy of G.K. Chesterton's Orthodoxy, plus many other Chesterton titles at shop.mychurch.com.
This is Capcom. We are ready to go for launch at the Crusade Channel launch site. New show lineup.
Go.
Broadcasting live on X, YouTube, and Rumble.
We'll go, Flat.
Breaking news updates. Go. The Mike Church Show Band. We'll go. We'll go for launch for the Crusade Channel 4.0 mothership.
2, 1. Lift off.
On August 4th, the Crusade Channel will launch Crusade Channel 4.0, the mothership. And you'll see why everyone else is lost in space.
Captain's log, Crusade date 17.76.40. Trump fleet has ordered us to the Lunar Drano system to investigate a disturbance on a newly discovered planet called Influencer 2025. We've been warned that this civilization's statement that it wishes to make the media galaxy great again by sharing their posts with MAGA World may not be what they seem.
Entering orbit around Influencer 2025, Captain.
On screen.
Captain.
What is it, Counselor?
I'm sensing a disturbance, Captain. It is almost as though these people have an inordinate passion for greed and... In a word, Captain, grift.
Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
I can't. Every time I try to lock on, it asks me to click on another channel.
Ah, the old clickbait maneuver. Shields up.
Shields up.
Lieutenant Olea, open up a channel.
Aye, Captain.
Attention, influencers. This is the captain of the talkship Crusade 4. We're here on behalf of Trump Fleet because you requested to join the MAGA Federation. Identify yourselves.
I am breaking.
I am, do you see it? I am subscribed to unlock.
Darn it, mister. Can you speak in anything longer than a cliche?
Captain, they're powering up what looks like to be an outrage porn cannon.
Go to red alert number 2. Instant the truth. Arm, entertain, and entertain podcast torpedoes.
Monologues loaded, Captain. Outrage porn incoming.
Hey, America, great.
Intelligence shields holding but weakened, Captain. Crew IQ down to 87%.
Mr. the Truth, fire our 1 monologue podcast.
Fired. A direct hit, Captain. IQ levels are growing again.
Captain.
Yes, Lieutenant.
They've blocked us?
Will the Crusade 4 be able to reconnect with the people on Influencer 25 and save them from its time to move on ya? Stay tuned to the next episode of Talk Trek.
Number 2, deploy the tractor beam, the subscriber tractor beam. Tractor beam deployed, Captain. Talk Track episode 1. We need a Talk Track episode 2. I just got to write it. And we'll get around to it. Crusade Channel 4.0, America's morning show. A crusade for truth is on. The Crusade Channel here on a Monday. If you haven't downloaded the new app, or if you haven't fired your app up in a while because you are so disgusted with the old version, I promise you that the new version will not be disgusting. Will not generate disgustination. You might actually be pleasantly surprised and think to yourself, "Wow, it actually works." Be careful. Yes, it actually works. There are many improvements that are planned, but I think it's safe that you can give it to Aunt Petunia and Uncle Bobo, and they can upload it, or they can now open it up. And the preview stream is going to play. It's set to autoplay. I'm going to update the Daniel Penny monologue. It's point. There's something a little more modern, but the new app does look really, really slick. And it functions pretty well. So be interested if you have any issues that you discover with it. Send us an email. I am KingDude at protonmail.com. You know, we didn't... There's an incident that happened at a professional wrestling event on Saturday night. It was in L.A.? I thought you said Los Angeles. Okay, so the son of an MMA or MMF fighting champion or whatever he is goes to a professional wrestling event. One of the wrestlers there, it was in LA, decides that he, for whatever reason, in a kind of a wrestling kind of playful manner, conks the son, this is a young black man now, the son of the MMA fighting champion. His name is Rampage. Rampage. Okay, Rampage's son. It bonks him on the head with a beer can. And then there was a little bit of discussion. Hey, man, why'd you do that? And then the pro wrestling dude says, hey, man, I'm sorry, dude. I just, we're always working on wrestling here. Even when we're not in the ring, we're working on it. It was just a little playful bump here. If you took it the wrong way, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any harm by it. We cool, and they shook hands and everything, and they're cool. Well, then the wrestling match goes on, and the guy that bonked the young man on the head with the beer can goes into the ring, and he's in there, and he's getting ready to wrestle. And the son of Rampage has decided that his 15 minutes of fame are calling, and he decides that he's going to take over the card for the evening. And he gets out of his seat, jumps up onto the ring, gets into the ring with the guy, the wrestling dude, who's no small guy, and begins a MMA-style beatdown of the dude. He's getting the better of him because the guy's a wrestler. He's not a boxer. The son of Rampage picks the wrestler up and body slams him. And then while his head is on the mat, and he's probably pretty much knocked out from the real body slam, but while his head is on the mat, he gets a right hook across the jaw, and he's out cold. By this time, the son of Rampage is on and this is a black guy that is on top of a white dude. We're not supposed to talk about these things. And in a flurry of brutality, a volley of right, left, right, left, right, left. There it is right there. You can see it on your screen. He is beating and then pummeling this man, bashing his face in basically with all of his might. The kind of fake referee dude tries to get him off. Another wrestler comes in and tries to stop him. And then a big pro wrestler, a Ric Flair looking dude with a mohawk comes in there, and they finally get this clown restrained. It takes 6 men to restrain this dude. The pro wrestler that's on the mat is, folks, he's out. Jaw broken, nose broken, he's out. He is admitted into the hospital. He's in critical condition. They think that he's going to survive. He has serious injuries to his face. A video has now surfaced with the son of Rampage saying, yeah, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to show this white boy what I'm made of, and he ain't going to think it's so funny. I'm going to F him up. This is a premeditated assault. I hope that this guy that was beaten seeks to press charges. I want every charge possible. Of course, this is going to be in L.A. County now. There's going to be a test here. We're going to have a Rodney King riot situation in reverse. You're going to have a defenseless, knocked out white guy who was getting his brains beaten in. The intent was, I think, to kill the guy. And charges are probably going to be pressed. There's going to be a court battle. And we're going to see whether or not the new Republican DA in L.A. County actually wants law and order. I can't wait to see what Commie Karen Bass has to say about this, because Rampage has already came out and said, screw that cracker. He shouldn't be messing with my boy if he doesn't want to get beat down. Dude, are you serious? Are you serious? If you know anything about the fraternity that is professional wrestling, and it is a fraternity, you know, I've told this story before. I'm not supposed to tell it. When I was on WTIX AM 690, I knew Colonel Buck Robley. He used to come to T-Ben and I's Friday night fight events, and it was great fun. I made the mistake of saying one time to Colonel Buck Robley, oh, yeah, well, most of that's fake. Well, he picked me up and body slammed me on a table. He wasn't trying to hurt me. He just showed me that he could do it. I mean, he was Buck Roby was a sweetheart of a man. But I knew Buck. And look, they know that what they do is for entertainment. That doesn't mean that these aren't very highly trained and skilled athletes with extraordinary strength and abilities. So please don't misunderstand. You know, they choreographed this. It may be choreographed, but those guys are really big. I do not want to, well, when Hulk Hogan was alive, I wouldn't want see Hulk Hogan body slamming Sylvester Stallone in Rocky III. And then they asked Stallone about it after the fact. You go, you think that was fake? Took me like 2 weeks to recover from that. I mean, Hulk Hogan, man, he don't play around. This is intentional. He went in there because black people are untouchable. in Biden and Obama's America, just like Maltetia James and Fat Fonnie Willis and all these black women that think they can walk into cell phone shops and just start wailing on a skinny white girl. They don't think there's going to be any retribution because Whitey owes it. Well, I just have to say that watching that man get his face pummeled in by this savage, this is an absolute act. This is an act of savagery. I hope that kid gets live, whoever that punk is. I hope he's prosecuted. I hope he's convicted. I hope he gets to spend time in a jail with real men who are really going to want to fight him. And then you're going to find out just how bad Whitey takes being treated as a second-class citizen. You know, enough of this. I think we're all fed up with this crap. Stop walking around and because you got a chip on your shoulder because you suck at life, you want to take it out of me because I don't look like you. All of this nonsense. When this story gets out, it's not out yet. You haven't heard about it because some big influencer, obviously I'm not one. If I had 6 producers like Megyn Kelly, the story would already be out. When this story gets out, watch the fallout. There's somebody in the chat room saying the white guy asked for it. What? Not in the video that I saw. Maybe Maggie, did you see a video where the white dude was asking for it?
No, okay.
What the hell's going on here?
There's a video of all these professional wrestlers hanging outside prior to the event, and they're all chit-chatting and whatever, and Rampage's son walks up. It was predetermined that at some point...
I watched that video. I know that one, yeah.
So whenever he walks up to the wrestler, he picks up a can, checks to see if it's empty, and he goes and he smashes it over his head.
Right.
But he crushes it with his hand. So he taps the side of the dude's head, and that was it. Total disrespect. You're going to die from now on.
And so, but okay. When Rampage's son gets into the ring,
yes,
what's the white guy supposed to do? Just take it because he's white? I don't understand.
According to Rampage's son, he was told by the event planners to go ahead and hit full force, that he didn't have to hold anything. That's what he's saying. Now, that's what he's alleging.
Why would the event planners
Exactly, they would never do such a thing.
Tell an MMA...
To hit a wrestler that's obviously got a keg for a belly.
Yeah.
No.
A 2-tier MMA guy to go, like, physically assault one of their wrestlers in the ring, and he's supposed to take it? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I just want to make sure I understand what's going on in the chat room here because, and I can't read and talk at the same time, but it looks like some people in the chat room are saying that white boy needed to get beaten and he asked for it because he dared to, because he hit him back. No. If that white dude got a punch in, I didn't see it. Did you?
No, he absolutely took him from behind.
He got sucker punch. He got sucker punch, and then he got freaking suplexed.
Him up from the backside and then flopped him over his back.
Flopped him over his back.
Him. Did not see it coming. No.
Enough of this crap. Now, there was an altercation at a football game this weekend as well. I missed that.
I have no idea.
There was a fight at a football game? Well, I don't know. You got so many people in the chat room now, I can't keep up with the darn conversation.
So don't say it. You can't just pop into the chat room randomly.
I know. I'm like a small child that wanders.
There's that many, it's hurting cats. You cannot keep up. There's at least 20 different conversations going on right now.
Just like Primetime's son punched a Bills player Saturday in Tampa at Bucks game, he gone good riddance to Sanders' kids. I didn't. Some son of Deion Sanders punched another. I don't. Moving on. Thank you. Moving on. Is that stupid phone out again?
I was doing other things. Did it ring?
Can you pick up and see if there's dial tone? I'm just curious now. You got dial tone. All right. Well, that's not. Well, then tell Magdalene that's not on our end. Okay, 844-527-8723. If you want to get in on this conversation, this thrilling conversation about Rampage's son. And again, from what I saw, not good. By the way, NFL season opens on September the 7th, so that's Sunday. So backtrack 6th, 5th, I guess it's the 4th on Thursday night. The NFL season is set to open. Maggie, can we play the 80s are calling and they want they want you back? We were one of the first people to play this video on Friday. It has now gone back. It has been played by many people. A lot of people have seen it. We started the program off today talking about the professor at Pennsylvania, at Penn State, or at Penn, rather, college, who banned all digital devices in his classroom for a semester and got fantastic results out of it. And again, I think that we are in the middle of a pushback against tech, and especially against AI. I think that everyone that bet that AI was that you were going to be walking around and you were going to go all AI for the rest of your life and be AI enhanced and influenced, it seems to me that there is just a little bit of a pushback here.
You know the 80s miss you, right?
Let me guess. No one even talks face-to-face anymore.
Here? We're out until the streetlights come on. You should stay. The world feels real here. We've got mixtapes, Friday night diners, cruising down Burnside in your friend's Camaro. What's 2025 got?
Yo, what are you even doing in 2025?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Out there, it looks like everyone's glued to their phones, chasing nothing. No block parties, no Friday night hangout.
Do you even remember what it's like to really be here? Out here, time doesn't race, it breathes. And if you've forgotten that, then maybe that's why the 80s are calling you back.
Yo, you coming or what?
You don't get it. The 80s wasn't just about neon lights or mixtapes. It was about being here, actually being with people. No screens in your face, no noise from the future. Just the moment. The 80s miss you. We all do. Maybe it's time you came back. You know?
Yeah, the 80s miss you. We all do. Maybe it's time you came back. Maybe. Maybe. We talked about it on Friday, and the YouTube story that we talked about earlier today. Yes. Okay. Most people didn't hear this. So, YouTube secretly used AI to edit people's videos. And the results could bend reality. Rick Beato's face just didn't look right. I was like, man, my hair looks strange, he says. And the closer I looked, it almost seemed like I was wearing makeup. Beato runs a YouTube channel with over 5 million subscribers where he's made nearly 2,000 videos exploring the world of music. Something seemed off in one of his recent posts, but he could barely tell the difference. I thought, am I just imagining things? Turns out he wasn't. In recent months, YouTube has secretly used AI to tweak people's videos without letting them know or asking permission. Wrinkles in shirts seem more defined. Skin is sharper in some places and smoother in others. Pay close attention to ears and you may notice them warp. These changes are small, barely visible without a side-by-side comparison, yet some disturbed YouTubers say it gives their content a subtle and unwelcoming AI-generated feeling. There's a larger trend at play. A growing share of reality is pre-processed by AI before it even reaches you. Eventually, the question won't be whether you can tell the difference, but whether it's eroding our ties to the world around us. The more I looked at it, the more upset I got, says Rhett Schull, another popular music YouTuber. Schull, a friend of Beato's, started looking into his own posts and spotted the same strange artifacts. He posted a video on the subject that racked up over 500,000 views. If I wanted this terrible over-sharpening, I would have done it myself. But the thing is, the bigger thing is it looks AI generated. I think that deeply misrepresents me and what I do and my voice on the internet. It could potentially erode the trust I have with my audience in a small way. It just bothers me. You know, I snuck this in the other day. I haven't produced it because I haven't gotten it to Mosier and Lee yet, but there are some scripts that are written. American talk radio made by Americans, not AI. Mike Church Show. That was written like 10 days ago. Now, again, you haven't heard it in rotation because we haven't got new stuff in yet, but there are radio shows out there that are AI generated. I heard one of them, and I went, well, I guess if you didn't know and you were just convinced that all radio shows are created equal, maybe you'd land on this one. And you go like, oh, I'm just going to play this in the background. Like Maggie described the shock, your surprise and anger when you found out that not only were we working our behinds off to try and make a big 5-digit splash on YouTube and attract subscribers and what have you, and people to tune into the show while we were giving it away as part of the network. Well, when we found out that there was a channel that was playing medieval chant, allegedly Catholic-sounding chant, with a singular image that was just like rotating once.
It had different AI-generated images of mythical forest and, fireflies and beautiful scenery. Fake, of course. Yeah. All AI-generated music, chant, air finger quotes, and backgrounds.
Come to find out, it wasn't like they were running records of the monks of Solem. Where's Isaac Jonas at when we need him? Not in the chat room, I bet. Of the monks, no, he's in there. Of the monks of Solem, the descendants of Don Prosper Gorinche, and they actually do chant, but that's not what it was. It's not the brothers at Clear Creek Abbey who actually do chant and record it. It's not the monks of Norcia who actually do chant. And they have a very cool YouTube channel, and they have a couple of CDs out, and they actually do chant. This was all AI generated. Come to find out, they're AI generated entire channels. What bothered me as O'Connell about it was here we are, humans, toiling away in obscurity, trying to game this stinking algorithm, and we never did. And here the AI generated content was getting 70,000 concurrent views and had 750,000 subscribers. Let me translate that for you. If you're running ads and you monetize your channel and you have 700,000 subscribers, that is probably the equivalent, that's probably $5,000 to $7,000 a month in passive income. You're not doing anything to generate. $5,000 to $7,000 a month. Well, if it's an AI, Magdalene Rose, where is it going? Who's getting the money if the AI is generating the YouTube channel?
And I think a lot of creators want to make it clear that it's not necessarily them. They might get a spike in earnings, but if YouTube's going to credit itself, then they're going to have a piece of every video outside of the piece they already take for being on the platform.
Yeah, what is this AI generated crap? What does this do? Which is why I think that shows like this and the Crusade channel, we need to positively state that this is not AI-generated content. When we play Sister Philomena or whichever sister does the Saint of the Day, she actually read that. That is not... this is not a... we could probably generate the whole thing if we wanted to by AI, but we're not going to do that. We're never going to do it. So now, is there going to be a market? I mean, there's almost like, are there going to be purists out there, people that go like, I don't listen to him anymore, he has AI-generated content?
Well, I think there is. And I think one of the problems is that AI is a great tool for things, but it's not supposed to replace humanity. And the issue is there are some people, including many companies I've seen, that increasingly are doing a thing where they're downsizing, not industries, but areas of their personnel that they feel in 5 years their jobs will be taken over by AI. But the other side of that is a lot of people are saying they're not going to be taken over by AI. They're jumping the gun, and that's happening across the industry.
So there are So there are content creators saying that they're not going to. We're not going to go all AI. But what if you're only streaming your stuff on a platform that has an AI lurking. You know, Grok is now monitoring everything that goes on X. And Grok is just, I think it's out of control. Grok is not just popping up, warning, Grok has detected that this is not actually factually correct. Here is a programming note for users. Grok is now roaming the halls of X.com, and I think it's creepy and weird, and I don't like it. We know now that ChatGPT or whatever, or Google's, what is Google's AI called? Gemini. That Gemini is now roaming the halls of YouTube, and it's now taking people's content and it's altering it. If your only possibility or your only avenue to deliver content is through one of those vehicles, well, then how do you know that AI is not going to grab your copy, your content, and is not going to AI mess with it?
Well, that's exactly the point. And, you know, we've had issues with this within the conservative world with content stealing, but it's been by people. So, I mean, there's a little bit of, you can have sort of a repercussion there. You can sue people. You can file that you should have credit for something. But this, there's no one to confront. And it reminds me of when they first started instituting those rules where traffic cameras were taking photos and there was a lot of questions about whether or not that was legal because you could not confront your accuser, which is a right. And I think it's a similar sentiment in this now.
You know, that's a really good point. You can't confront the AI confuser, and even if you can, it's gonna go tequila on you, like a Muslim is gonna lie to you. It's gonna say no. Yeah, of course I altered the. No, I did it for your own good. I don't think that this is a positive development at all. And the people that are responsible for this, and now they want more. They want AI and this program. You know, I get asked every day, Magdalene. I'll let people in on a little Inside Crusade channel, Mike Church Show, Inside Web Development Baseball. I get asked every day by software development companies that are now using their programming AI into the little widgets that we use on the internet that you see on crusadechannel.com. They're programming AI into these widgets that helped us be very, expand what we could do with web pages and websites. Now they have AI enhanced versions of them. And every time I fire that little thing up, that widget up, and I use it 8, 10, 12, 15 times a day, it prompts me, would you like to use AI to help generate this content? And I tried to turn the darn thing on. I'm like, no, I got this. So now I'm going to have to promote that I have a human-generated, yes, it has mistakes on it, you know, because it got my fingerprints all over it. If there's a mistake, AI probably didn't do it. Non-AI generated content on the website and on the internet to go along with non-AI generated content on the actual broadcasting content. But how many people are not selecting the box or not denying the service like I am? And are going like, yeah, because what's going to happen is AI is going to go talk and go monitor all the other websites that are in your genre, and they're going to make your site start looking like everyone else's.
Well, that's exactly true. And I think one of the problems is that these platforms, they thrive when everything looks similar in a way because it makes their algorithm much easier. It makes it easier for them to have trending content if there's a general look to things.
Yep.
So if humanity objects to that, the platforms don't have to object to that. And this is sort of the argument that has been made for a while, particularly by libertarians and such, is that if you don't own physical copies of things, like if you own a DVD of a show, you own it. They really can't change anything of it unless you give it to them. So that's the difference. Now, you don't really own anything. You rent everything or you have a subscription to things. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. And I think that my generation and the generation before, meaning millennials, are very comfortable with that. So when AI begins to change things, and we saw this when they started to edit holiday content they didn't think was woke enough a few years ago, when that started to happen, it made it very difficult to believe that things wouldn't change in a platform just because companies said they wouldn't.
Well, here, let me approach it like this. If I have a DVD, okay, let's say I have a CD. We'll use one of my old ones, Libs on the Run. Lives on the Run, 2007 it came out. There's 11 tracks on it. I own the physical, I own the copyrights to all the lyrics. We, from the Harry Fox Agency, we bought licenses to use the actual the copyrighted material, whether it was a Beatles song or an Eagles song or whoever the hell song it was. But the way that everything that the songs came out and the way I delivered them is on CD. It can never be altered. And when you play it back, it's just going to play back what we put on the CD. Now, if I did the exact same thing and I uploaded it to a content delivery network and it was sitting there and it told me we now have AI to enhance your audio. Well, what if I say no and it just goes like, well, screw you. I found some stuff in your audio that I didn't like. I thought was not at the modern standards. So I went ahead and fixed it for you. It seems to me that that the robots, that the AI bots are running the show then. And when companies notify me that, well, we've now installed AI to make your podcasting better, I don't want AI to make my podcasting better. I want to make it better. We're coming to the point now where if you can't opt out, you know what? There are going to be companies, and I wonder, there are going to be companies that are going to say that, well, our advantage over all these other people is if you upload your stuff to our server, it cannot be altered. We don't do AI. So listeners and viewers are getting the same thing. But couldn't you do the same thing if you just went back to delivering analog signals and analog product?
Well, you could, and I think that one of the issues for media in general is that there's no goodwill towards media, whether it's Hollywood or news. So people have begun to become very suspicious of how much their content is being edited. And I think this thing with YouTube is the beginning of the end, really. Because if YouTube can unilaterally go in and decide that their terms of service, in addition to everything else, covers editing your content, then it's not going to be a platform that's sustainable. People will abandon it. And not because they're being nitpicky or whatever, but because their content isn't theirs anymore. And this is a question of ownership. And one of the things I've seen is that legal departments now are phasing out a lot of junior associate positions, paralegal positions, and things for AI. So if you have a situation where you don't really own anything, and then the legal firm you go to isn't really using a real lawyer, the legal repercussions of this in terms of actually being able to have anything are going to be huge when you go to trial or you go to have a final judgment. And half of your legal work that you've paid for has been done by AI, and AI has taken your content. It's going to create a situation where there's a lot of hatred towards AI and the people who back it.
Yeah, and anyone that is using AI to enhance, especially in real time, to enhance anything that you deliver, like say, for example, you have a legal Zoom account. Now, 10 years ago when I opened or 15 years ago when I opened my legal Zoom account, I actually could call the toll-free number and I could talk to an actual attorney if I needed one, right? Now, if you go to LegalZoom, it's going to tell you, no, it's AI enhanced. Try our new AI enhanced chatbot. Maybe I don't want to talk to an AI enhanced chatbot. How do I know the AI enhanced chatbot has my best interests? It may have your best interests, LegalZoom. It may be doing things that make me use your service more. I agree with the people that are saying, look, there's no way out of this. The only way out of this is straight up. We are an analog business. We deal with we deal with real things and a real physical world, and that's the only way that you're going to know for sure. It's almost like this is a bad dystopian futuristic movie where the machines actually are running everything, and you are in constant battle with them. Kind of like, oh gosh, what was the name of that movie? Well, there are several films that have dealt with this, but I don't think the sci-fi writers could have predicted this. I don't think Asimov and Bradbury and Philip K. Dick, I don't even think that they predicted this.
No, they didn't predict it. And I think that the reason for that is because they never thought people would be stupid enough to do it. And when Elon first got involved in politics, I think a lot of people naively were like, this is great, he's going to save us from everything. And that was not the case. He provided a way to have massive amounts of money injected into the race. He was very much involved. But the idea that we should have thrown the door open to people who want to utilize AI to take over major industries was ridiculous. And this is going to be one of the core issues in 2028 in the Republican presidential primary. Because there are going to be people like DeSantis and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth who are against the innovation of AI in terms of it taking over for human positions. And then there are people like J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy who are much more in favor of it. They lean technocrat. And I don't think the Republican voter base is going to like that. They didn't like it in Ramaswamy. I think Ramaswamy, one of his biggest issues was he didn't hide how much he enjoys AI and how he thinks Americans should be phased out. Remember when Obama said learn to code? It was sort of like this thing heard around the world. They are in that mindset. They don't say it, but that's what they believe. If you look at who backs them, the things that they've written, the things they say privately, they believe that people should evolve with the times. Someone like DeSantis might be able to edge out someone like Vance simply because he seems more human because he's rejecting AI.
Yeah. Do you want AI in your state or your local government? I don't want to go to St. Tammany Parish because I need a permit for something or whatever and be confronted with our new parish website is now AI enhanced. I don't want it to be AI enhanced. I want to talk to Mrs. Ledbetter, who I know has been there for 20 years and knows where the files are. I don't want to talk to a bot. This whole thing is okay. Give Elon credit. Elon said it's going to happen faster than anyone thinks it's going to happen. In just this calendar year, so we're almost at the end of August, so in the 9 months of this calendar year, it has accelerated from being something that you knew was there and you could use as a tool to something now that we are actively, if you're working in a digital space, Magdalene Rose, you are now being confronted daily, hourly, by the minute, with the prospect that you now have to go almost out of your way now to deny, to say, no, I don't wish for the AI enhanced version. So whereas before it was there, now it's almost been implemented or it's being implemented everywhere. And, okay, companies currently are giving you the choice. What happens when the AI tells them, convinces them, stop asking people, just tell them we're AI enhanced?
Well, that's already happening, and it's already undertaking. I think to me the scariest thing is that law offices are using this, and that they're phasing out paralegals and the lowest level of associates in order to utilize AI to write legal briefs, to write synopsises of what's happening, to give advice. How that is not struck down immediately, I don't understand. I mean, the whole point of law and the entire field of it is a human ethics approach in finding the truth and upholding it. That is literally the institution of the legal world. So for them to phase it out for AI, for something that has no ethical basis and no understanding of morals aside from what a singular person or a group of people program into it, it doesn't make any sense. And I think that the divide between using AI to sort of streamline mechanical processes that already existed is not a bad thing. That makes sense. Using it to decide on impactful things for the lives of human beings is a problem. And someone like Vance and Ramaswamy specifically, they're very hard line in thinking that it should be phased in. They're going to continue with that, and I think Republicans are going to reject it.
Well, Trump is, okay. The first big announcement that we got in January and early February of this year was, who was the guy from Japan? The Sung Young, the dude who came in, Master Trump, my company invested $200 billion into American industry, and we come back and we make a good appearance in the United States. We love America. We want to be my guy. And then a week later, then you get this, who is the guy from Oracle, Larry Ellison. Then you get the next thing is the guy from Japan is back, but this time, Magdalene, He has Larry Ellison of Oracle, and Oracle is announcing $500 billion or whatever it was, and new infrastructure that was going to be built, and data processing centers enhanced and powered by AI. So we go from a little investment in America to a software manufacturing facility, or whatever it was, from the little Japanese guy that Trump said, I told him it wasn't enough. Let's make it $500 billion. How about that, huh? The South Korean bank, I think it was. And then you get back a week later, and now we have Larry Ellison there, and now they're touting all this AI, $1 trillion of AI. Apple is touting their AI. And again, it all goes back now in this day and at this time, it all goes back now to President Trump. If Trump is the primary promoter and if he is the primary defender and promoter and an advocate of this stuff, well, then truly there is no stopping it. If you're not going to get it pushed back, if there's going to be any pushback, and surely, I mean, he is a practical guy. J.D. Vance can't be the only one that's talking to him. In Trump's practical mind, where he built brick and mortar buildings, where he still understands brick and mortar process, as he's just been talking about the addition to the West Wing, right? Going in there and giving a disapproving grade to Jerome Powell's expansion of the Fed, going, I could do it for a lot less. Talking the other day about now we're going to get the streets redone. It's not just going to be resurfacing. We're going to get rid of all the old asphalt. And then talking about grass. These are all physical things that don't have anything to do with AI whatsoever. But I don't see Trump being one of the guys that's going to hold his hand up, as Reagan said in the 1960s, and say, I just wanted to hold my hand up and say, stop. I don't see Trump saying stop. Is he? No. Has he? If he has, no, I haven't seen it.
He's not. And I think that that's part of the frustration. He's not providing guidance on this. And AI is something that has to be handled urgently and delicately. And that's not happening from him. And I think it's because he doesn't really have an opinion. You know, Trump is somebody who likes the streamlining of things, but he also doesn't want people to lose their jobs. I think he's very much in the middle of everything here. He's also towards the end now of his time in office, not in this administration, but in general. He's not going to be the focus of politics in the next election for the first time since 2015. That's a big gap. So for him, it's not paramount. It's not the biggest issue. I think the number one thing for him right now is the Russia-Ukraine war and trying to get the Middle East calm and stabilizing the economy. He can't even focus as much as he'd like on the economy because of the endless wars that are going on. So for right now, I think one of the problems we have within the Republican Party is everyone's being polite about their position on AI. That will change because somebody will realize that it gives them an edge, for good or for bad, to go after it or to support it or whatever. And then the gates will open. And I think that the great divide here is whether or not people can be convinced in the Republican voting base to support AI. I don't see that as somebody who is a Republican, who's always been a Republican, how you massively convince millions of Republicans who are suspicious of technology in that way to support the candidate who wants to open the AI floodgate.
Yeah, it's surprising to me. Where is Elon at on this? Grok is taking over his baby, X.com. Grok is running X.com. It gets more aggressive every day. I told you the other day, you know, I tweeted this out, and you know what Grok did? It squelched it. They upgraded me. I didn't ask them to do this. They upgraded me at the KingDude. They upgraded me to Premium Plus. Changed me from monthly to yearly. If this were a court of law, I would go and I would say, I can show you the billing. The billing for August or July was for $8 a month, was for the premium service. They send me a bill for Premium Plus. They want it billed by the year, and the card keeps getting declined. Well, because I keep a low balance on it, and I don't want to have to pay for specific things like this. You know what ultimately has to happen is that I tell Grok, I'm like, well, why did you upgrade me? I did not upgrade you. I'm like, well, I didn't upgrade myself. And then I said, well, just can you? And ultimately, the Grok thing couldn't fix it. The tech support people at X couldn't fix it. So you know what their solution was? Cancel me. Cancel me. And then send me a note. Your blue check mark has been revoked because you cancel. I didn't cancel. You did. You pushed the damn button on the cancel. You know what they made me do? Then I had to go back to the entire approval process for the blue check, including paying. It took 4 days. I lost the blue check. People were going, what happened to KingDude? On looks like X finally busted him. He was a fake. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. That whole epic there was all Grok AI generated. I can't be the only one that's having an issue like this.
No, you're not. And Elon's getting all this credit for Grok as if it's the good AI tool. There is no such thing as a good AI tool. There is such things as a helpful AI program in terms of like it streamlines a process that human beings were not previously doing. But none of this is good. It's not a good thing. And I think that Republicans need to understand, because Democrats will clue into this very quickly. Because of Zohran Mamandi in New York, and there's a candidate like him in Arizona that's running for Congress now who's younger than him, there are these people who will understand on the Democrat side that their new issue can be stopping the AI revolution. And that's what they'll market themselves as. And I will tell you, if Republicans don't support stopping the implementation of AI that will take over jobs and remove safeguards that humanity has, they're going to lose a lot of voters to Democrats. Because Democrats will make this their entire personality. They've done that before with health care or abortion. They're very good at being a one-issue party.
Yep.
If they become the party that takes on AI, it's a good issue. There's a lot of different ways to talk about it, and they'll win on that.
I'm not surprised that it has happened as fast as it is. I'm surprised at the totality of it. So I'm trying to read some of the commentary and the very active chat room today. AI subsets have been employed by engineers since the early 90s. Not possible. That's not possible. You're not talking about an artificial intelligence. You're talking about a piece of software that runs an algorithm. And I know a little bit about computer science. Computer science! It's an if and or gate. You're basically talking about, Doc, in the chat room, you're basically talking about Babbage's analytical engine, which was the basis for the modern computer. Babbage is still widely regarded as one of the geniuses of the modern era when it comes to engineering, and certainly for circuitry engineering. But the Babbage analytical engine is if and or. They're gates. Open, close, open, close, open, close. You get an AND gate, and it closes, you go to the... however it is that it works. I never took it apart, and I don't completely and totally understand it. That is not an intelligence that has gathered and stored data. You can't do that on a on a disk that you deliver as software. You can do it as the programming, as the operating system going like, if Magdalene clicked that button and moved her mouse to this position on the screen, then, or if, that's not AI. That is simple preparatory, whatever you geeks that do code, that's programmed to say, okay, if this happens, then I want that to happen. What we're talking about is a machine that is on a hard drive or in the cloud, as it were, somewhere, and is taking data that has been given to it, and without any human interaction or intervention whatsoever, is taking that data, manipulating it, and turning it into something else, and is doing it now in real time. That's what I call AI. I'm not talking about a problem-solving algorithm that is using if and or gates to solve a problem or to predict an eventuality, which it can do. Completely and totally different. That's not... this is the difference between a Tandy calculator and Commander Data on Star Trek: The Next Generation. you know, the entire 7 seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation is whether or not Data is going to get the emotion chip, right? I mean, the character's entire id for existence is whether or not he gets the emotion chip. Well, why does he need the emotion chip? Well, he needs the emotion chip because he can't act outside of the computer science. He can't act outside of the if and or gate algorithm. And that's because he doesn't have an intellect. So when we say AI to begin with, intellect is something that is in the human soul. I will argue this, and I will debate anyone, anywhere, on any stage, anywhere on earth, that you're not going to get that thing is not going to get a human soul. It's never going to get the intellect as you and I have it, which is attached to our souls, or we get through our souls. But this, what this thing is now doing, Brave New World, you know what? Didn't Klaus Schwab or one of those clowns at the World Economic Forum say, "You will own nothing, also you will be happy"? Didn't Klaus Schwab said that, correct?
Yes. Yes, he did say that.
Well, that's what the AI world is. You don't own anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you will be happy because people dazzle you with the AI generated of the contents of the world of which we wish for you to see it. This is like, you know, when Apple came out with that visor thing. I don't know if you people know. You know what I'm talking about, the Apple, the thing that you put on, and it's hideous. I was like, no. Here's what I think about that.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Okay, so when it is projecting you, and this is what freaked me out the most about it, I went, nope, I don't want to even be in the same continent where they have one of these things. Let's say you have that visor, Apple Pro visor, whatever the hell, ProVision. I think it's called ProVision. Let's just say you have it on and you have an incoming FaceTime call. Now, wait a minute. You have a visor on. You're actually looking at your person that you're FaceTiming inside the visor, on the screen on the visor. Where is the visor's camera? Magdalene?
I don't know.
It doesn't have one. But it is projecting an image of you as if you're on video talking to whoever you're FaceTiming with. Do you know how it's doing it?
No.
Well, it has gotten every photograph of you that exists on the internet from any angle at any time in your life or whatever, when it's laying there and you don't have it on. That camera's on and it's looking for you. It has built a digital profile, a physical digital profile of you. And now, folks, if this doesn't freak you out, I don't know what does. If you're using one of those things and somebody FaceTime calls you, the FaceTime image they are getting is being generated by the AI and the ProVision. It's not you. It can't be. There's no camera in front of you. You have the stupid visor on. If there was a camera in front of you, it would see you with the visor on. But it doesn't. Instead, it sees you on the side of Mount Everest or whatever you have said your background is. If that doesn't freak you out, bro, I don't know what does. Did you know that?
I did not, but I think that one of the things that has happened is that the older generations, when they learned that, became even more closed off to AI, if they know it. And that close off to AI is powerful, and it's something that's not going to stop. I, for one, hope that the side of the Republican Party that wins this battle is not the pro-AI technocrat world, because it will crash and burn, but it will probably crash and burn the U.S. economy as well.
Well, if you're publishing pictures of your children and yourself on the internet, well, the AI can make a family for you. It can figure out what your kids ought to look like. It can also, now that it has your children's image, now it can craft a education plan and a lesson thing. You know, there's that movie that we watched, Maggie. They did a pretty good job of this. Not Megan. Oh, what was the one? What was it called? It was actually pretty freaky. The AI takes over the house. You remember that? We watched this, and Yeah. The AI takes over the house. The guy, the husband's working for the AI, for the computer software company, and they decided that they're not going. Is it called Alice? It's a chick's name because when you walk in the house, you go like, Alice, I'm home, and the Alice already knew. Well, the AI starts to take over the people's house, and then things start appearing. Afraid, that's what it is. Everyone listening right now, here, I got a suggestion for all of you. Watch, this is an indie flick too. I think that one of the bigs picked it up, but it was an indie flick. There's a couple of guys in it you'll recognize, a couple of B-list actors that have been in television shows. The movie is called Afraid. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
If you want to see what's going to happen, watch Afraid. It will tell you what's going to happen, or at least one scenario under which it could happen. No one thought that here we are, football season's about to begin, September. We thought that the Russia-Ukraine war would all be over by now. We thought the Israeli occupation of Gaza and them, their killing of innocents across the Mideast, we thought all that would have stopped by now. I didn't have most of this on my bingo card at the start of the year, but I have it now. And if the Democrats are going to become the party of AI, then they're going to become, I think what Trump is trying to position the Republicans as the party of AI. But you want an AI, I don't know. Do you have a extra governmental entity now that's going to supervise this or is going to regulate it? We have regulations for everything else. The FCC comes in and the FCC comes in and says, well, this is the bandwidth that you can operate under, right? This is the frequency that little wireless device can transmit things on. Is there going to be a regulation for artificial intelligence? And if there is, how is it going is AI, what if AI decides that it doesn't like those regulations? It doesn't like those parameters, those regulations, and decides, well, you know what, I'm just going to write my own. Well, these are the ones that are comfortable for me. I think Elon's prediction is actually about 1.5 years ahead of schedule. He said 2 years. It hasn't been 2 years.
No, and with us no longer having Doge, I think that's a very unfortunate thing because Doge could have helped in terms of figuring out how best to allocate resources for those kinds of things, how to curb AI in a detrimental way. I don't think Elon Musk is evil. I think of the billionaires, he's probably the best one we have and who cares the most about humanity. But the other part of it is that we have lost Doge, and that was a major blow to us. That was one of the core things that really got Trump elected, the idea that we'd have massive reform. Elon used to have that in his bio on Twitter. The people voted for massive government reform. That isn't happening on the level people wanted. If we had Doge back, I'd feel a lot more confident.
Well, I think Doge is still kind of there. The whole thing is... Big Balls is still there? Well, no, Big Balls was there.
He's still there. He got beat up in D.C.
I know he got beat up in D.C., but I think that he was... all errors that could have, these are self-inflicted wounds. I think they can all be corrected. Will they? I don't know. All right, Magdalene, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And there is the movie poster from Afraid. That's the guy from the dad is the dude from such and such in Kumar's Big Night Out or whatever the hell it is. That movie is it's an eye opener because it kind of shows you what the thing is capable of doing.
Also in Star Trek.
What's that?
He was in Star Trek.
That's right. He was in Star Trek. He's Sulu. He's Sulu in the new Star Trek. Go Sulu. We'll talk more about this as the program gets underway during the course of the week here on the Crusade Channel. Websites at crusadechannel.com. Donate is at crusadechannel.com/donate. The new version 2.0 apps are out, and you can find them in the Google Play Store and the iOS Store. Thanks for listening today. We'll have a brand new Saint of the Day for tomorrow, and it will change every day, and you can get them all as podcasts as well. See you tomorrow. If news breaks out today, we will break in. God bless you and Mary keep you.
I'm going away, babe, and it won't be long. I'm going away, and it won't be long. les ailes de mon billard. Je joue